And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. Today's episode, we're going to be discussing some of the newest Nikita leaks that we got a hold of, some of the event stuff that's going on. Not too much going on in Tarkov space, but we got an interesting topic to discuss to continue from last week's discussion about weapons being banned or allowed on the Flea and how that might impact the game. Followed by GigaBeef's progression on his questing adventures, leveling up the new Arena Trader ref, and then we'll probably close out with maybe some miscellaneous stuff, Elden Ring, live service games, etc.
All good stuff. So we've had a few little Nicky leaks this week. It's been a fun week of Tarkov. There's like stuff going on. I actually feel like there's things to do, especially with ref. I'm kind of feel like pulled in a few different directions by things. It's like my I don't know, my desire finally to do Lightkeeper but then also to do ref. And then I've kind of been like, looking around. I did this ammo video recently and I'm like, oh, I kind of would like M61 at this point after the armor's changed, but I need to get to level 55 for that. So I'm like, should I do some more quests for XP? Like, I kind of feel like more compelled to progress than I did like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I'm kind of like, oh, which one do I want to do these things? Like, should I do some dailies? Should I do boss kills? Should I like play arena to get experience in arena? Because that like passes over now. So there's actually quite a lot to do, which is cool. But yeah, it's been going all right. With the Nikita stuff, we've had there was the first one, I think. Let's just look at the sacrificial circle because that one got posted up first and is sort of standalone and like maybe less. It's just easier, I think, because you don't really know anything about it. So Nikita posted up a picture and it's in the hideout. And we knew that this was coming because we saw a cult room previously. And he basically said, what would you wish to sacrifice? Or what do you wish to sacrifice is what he said. And in here, there is the Circle of Sacrifice, max items 5. And he's putting in there a weapon repair kit, an empty fuel container, and some nails. And then there's a stash on the right. And then there's a big sacrifice button in the middle. Like, I don't know what this is going to do. Like, there's no information at all. Obviously, there's a lot of funny people talking about various things. I'm going to sacrifice. What did you say before? I'm going to sacrifice the audio and stuff like that. Which is
shout out to Torquay. That one gave me a little bit of a giggle.
Exactly, which is great. But yeah, I mean, it's very hard to speculate what this is going to be. I mean, maybe this is going to be something like a scav case. That's probably the easiest thing you can imagine. Like you put some stuff in there, and then maybe the cult people give you something like better later. Or maybe it's like a rep thing. Could be a Lightkeeper rep situation. Or perhaps you maybe have some reputation with the cult directly that they're going to add. No, I don't really know. There's lots of things that this could mean. Right now, I'm not really sure, to be honest.
It is interesting. The couple things I'm noticing. One is the eyeball icon. So, like, how when you get into the hideout, and I think if you like go to certain stations, like namely the trophy station, you can like, I think there's some buttons on the left. These like hexagonal. Is this hexagonal shape?
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember what exactly is there, but I feel like there's some buttons you can press to interact with.
Or like hide the UI and like I actually can't remember because I don't really go in there very often.
Maybe that's what that is. That would actually make sense. Like you hit the eyeball here because there's a little like eyeball icon, and that would like hide the UI so you could see the sacrificial altar. But the other thing that caught my eye is I noticed that the items inside the circle of sacrifice are not found in raid, and specifically one's a weapon repair kit that's like 625 out of 1,000, and like an empty fuel container, and then there's a packet of nails, but they're all not found in raid, which makes me kind of wonder if this is like you could put stuff in to like give it found in raid status, but it's like a massive cooldown. There's a limit to max of 5 items. I mean, it's probably more likely that it's like a junk or scav lucky scav junk or what
yeah,
scav
like
case
the
sort
scav
of
case,
mechanic, yeah. Except instead of rubles, you put in items, which I mean that can actually be pretty nice. You get it. Let's say you got a I don't know, some item that's like moderately valuable and it's not needed for a quest to be found in a raid, but you put it in your container, you die, and it's like, oh man, this whatever. I'm trying to like maybe it's so hard to think of something because a lot of stuff you can just use in craft, but I don't know. Maybe it's like a defibrillator or something. And you probably would
Yeah.
want to vendor that. I'm sure there's like a handful of items out there that's like, this was like way more valuable when it was found in raid, but now it's not. I can just shove it in the old recycler and try my luck that way, you know?
Yeah. The only other thing that I can think that it might be is there could be like I just like dreamed this mechanic up out of thin air, but you can imagine there being some sort of like global, at least I can, some sort of global, not timer, but like a global progress bar.
Okay.
And as people sacrifice more things per day, then like maybe a
Mm,
cult event begins, but it's a global event.
sure.
So people have to contribute towards it if they want the event to start. And it would have to be something that people would want to do.
Yeah. I can totally
Then
see
it'd give
that.
you like a window where you could go and, I don't know, yeah, farm them for the quests or get key cards off them or whatever, right? So something like that to incentivize people to do it. So that could be kind of fun. But that's sort of the best, like most interesting thing that I can feel
Mm-hmm.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Or maybe you could get some of the unheard clothing or whatever through the circle. I'm not sure. There's so many things that this could mean.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like they keep adding stuff, right? We've got like the cult clothing on the Unheard edition. We've got the cult in the game. We know the link to Lightkeeper. Like maybe it's got something to do with 1.0 and the actual storyline. Maybe it's like one of the other ways out of Tarkov. Yeah, so much stuff that it could be. I mean, they're obviously important, right? Because they keep talking about them every single
Mm-hmm.
time we have like cult events and all this stuff. So it must be important, but we're still yet to see quite why. And we'll find out in due course, I imagine.
Cultists? What do you mean? That's a conspiracy made up by the Tarkovian citizens. They're
Yeah,
not real.
exactly. There's no cult. There's no cult. The other Nikki leak that we have that I actually think is slightly more good. This is interesting in a sort of like I don't know what's going on kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the other one that is maybe a bit more interesting is a picture that Nikita posted with the title "What is that?" It's actually two pictures, and it looks very much like Factory. The first one being the boiler area. It looks sort of like the boiler area, but you can see out of the window slightly. And the second one being because where would this be exactly? Like on existing factories? Like the first one would be glass corridor, you would imagine. Um,
This
and the second one is part kind of looks like the area with the pit from
yes. That's what I
above.
was
Yeah,
thinking.
it is that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Because you
The
got the
pit in the
little
center.
door here with the dumpsters where like Tagilla sometimes hides behind. Then you got like the
Yeah.
open area with the fence.
Yeah, exactly. Like the far back right through the large opening is the medical tent extract
Uh-huh.
kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you can actually see the pit at the bottom of
A
the
bit,
screen,
yeah.
actually, just down there.
The lighting is
So,
really different here. I like it. It looks very
mm, yeah, I think Nikita
realistic
said
and moody.
previously that Factory like graphically didn't. I mean, I guess because I played it so much, I just don't really notice. But
Mm-hmm.
he'd said that Factory graphically doesn't really match up with the rest of the maps. It's on like kind of an older, not really an older model, but just like an older way of doing things. I guess like they haven't
Mm.
touched it for a while. They did the expansion, but they haven't really moved anything else on it. I know it wasn't really necessary. Factory's not that dark anywhere, really. The lighting's of the style that it's not too bad, and it's small enough that you don't have like the weird foggy haze, particularly on the map. So like they hadn't really have to poke it too much. Now, what's made this kind of interesting? Like that's fine on its own, and you can see that it's like a facelift on the existing factory. But what's kind of interesting about this is the first picture, because you can see out of the window in picture number one. Now, what makes this slightly strange is that there's two sort of towers outside and then another building to the right hand side. And people have obviously been speculating on where this actually is in the bigger map because we think that we know where factory is on the map, or at least it's been in a very specific place the whole time. It's like if you look out from old gas station, then there's the two big square tower buildings.
Mm-hmm.
That could be where factory is based on everything that we knew in the past, because the layout of it of old factory. This is where it starts to get a little bit messy because the old factory layout is on the customs in-game map out of the boundary of customs. But obviously that in-game map was made when customs was in its very first iteration. Like
Right.
a lot of the extra stuff, like old gas, didn't even exist back then.
Yep.
And so we've slowly got closer and closer to factory, or where factory's originally been placed on the map. And somebody who I highly respect in the mapping community, Mr. Reba, posted up his thoughts on speculation. Now, this is the guy who, if you're not familiar with Reba on Twitter, he's at RE3MR. That's how you sort of spell his name. He's like a 3D modeling artist, like cartography hobbyist kind of dude. And if you go on the wiki on any of the maps and you see there's like a beautiful 3D map with all trees and whatever, he's the guy who made all of those ones. There's like a really lovely reserve map that's been around forever. And I didn't realize until much, much later on that was him. And yeah, he's like made these beautiful maps for EFT. And they're like super high quality. He's like modeled every tree. Like the guy's like a real attention to detail, specialist. So if anybody knows the maps, it's him, because he's basically like mapped out the whole game, like building by building, tree by tree, crate by crate, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, the speculation that Remo has is that from the picture, there's the two there's the two customs, like I guess like cooling towers or something, which is where the sniper scav stands upon and is next to that blue crate that allows you to get, or the blue container that allows you to get from one side of the wall to the other, and connects the section but like underneath the bridge by New Gas and the parking to the skeleton construction type building on your way towards Fortress. He suspects that is what that is out of the window, which then makes the building that we're standing in, if you flick, because there's actually two photos, if you flick to the next one, it makes that building this one, which is very unusual. So you can see that Fortress is in the top right, Warehouse 4, which is the one with the power lever pull, is on the left. So this makes this building like right in the middle of customs, which is very, very weird. If that's true. Well, because it means that factory is like in the map now, like inside customs, like it's enveloped entirely by customs, and also not where we think it is, because where factory should be. So if you see Warehouse 4, north of Warehouse 4, well, I say north up of Warehouse 4, you've got old gas station, and factory should be after that.
That's what I thought was the general idea.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of this is like, set in stone,
Yeah, exactly. And this is the thing. It's not necessarily set in stone, because I think they had an idea of where it was going to be before, but they might have changed their mind, because the original factory plan on the customs in-game map doesn't match with the factory expansion. It only matches with the original factory floor plan. With the expansion, it doesn't actually make any sense. And also, you can see, like, factories never really made sense in BSD have slowly over time connected the maps together and added pieces. Stuff has appeared on the horizon that was never there before as they've brought the world together, because I don't think they necessarily knew 100% how they were going to connect it. Factory's been like it has been forevermore, and doesn't make any sense, because the floor plan of factory is identical to what it should be on the customs map. But on the customs map, when you look at the building, it's extremely tall and has all these floors, and it's two massive towers. But when you look out of factory, you can just see out the roof. So the factories just never made any sense.
Right.
And so they might just be taking the opportunity to retcon factory basically and say, oh, actually it's here. Like, we've changed our mind. It's going to be in this place. Maybe it's part of customs. Maybe it's, maybe it's like very integrated into map to map travel. Like maybe factory is its own raid. Maybe it's not. Maybe it just becomes part of customs. I don't know. Because I think that what Nikita said is they were going to rework factory and keep the old factory for legacy's sake. Just because people like playing there, right? So that makes me feel that almost that like the new factory might not be its own map. It might be part of customs. You might not be able to go to factory anymore. You have to play customs and go to factory in customs. It might be one of the only maps, and this would actually work, right? Because it was one of the only maps where map to map travel is not really necessary, or not a problem. An open world is not a problem for this, because factory is so tiny. It's like one building.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't really add any performance issues to customs if they just incorporated the two together. So maybe that's the way. Factory's the sort of oddball map that doesn't really fit with EFT. It's like it's Tarkov's equivalent of shipment from Call of Duty.
Basically. Yeah.
Basically, from one to the other. From the usual pace of Tarkov to factory is similar to the usual pace of COD to shipment, right? It's like the same increase in intensity. And it's just interesting. It's just interesting. I think it'll be kind of cool if they do that, but in the same vein, it won't be as intense, right? It'll change the experience of factory. But they've always said that they planned on having an entrance into labs there. So
Yeah,
like,
that was the other thing I was thinking. Is like that, and then also where, like, because presumably, I mean, if it's just this tiny building here and not like, is it supposed to be both of these buildings combined? Like, that, I just feel like there's so much like, yeah, I don't know. It's almost like they're making it because, like, where's the medical area here? Like, how does this fit? It doesn't fit. Like, there's not
yeah,
enough space within the building that they've selected. So, like, presumably they are gonna have to like update. Like, they're gonna want to update customs. I would think, like that
yes,
building,
I would think so.
assuming this is all correct, which I feel like it's pretty spot on.
Yeah, and the thing is, they actually have the scope to do so because currently we can only walk. If you look at where Warehouse 4 is, we can only walk along that wall edge on the
Yeah,
inside.
yeah.
We're not allowed on the train track, and we can't go in that building, the building we're talking about
Wow.
either. So you could technically change that whole area, have it, go right up to
Yeah.
the train track, even cover it if you wanted to. They could just knock the wall down and incorporate the two buildings together. Like they've
Mm-hmm.
done stuff like this before, so it's not impossible that they change that area quite a lot and make the whole thing factory. I don't know. But we'll see. It's intriguing. I mean, I'm kind of excited for it. It's nice when you get map changes. I like
Yeah.
map changes. It's like with the new shoreline, when stuff changes. Or like when you said you saw something about woods and you were like, oh, it's all changed because the BTR's there and there's more barricades and stuff. It's like, it's cool getting a facelift on old maps.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, like it makes more impact than you think because we know Tarkov's that game that you play 100, 500, 1,000, 2,000 hours of
Yeah.
that you know the map so intimately. And so when even minor details get adjusted, it's like it feels very dramatic because you've played on it so much. Yeah, it's cool. I like the idea of it. I think it's fun. I think it's gonna be fun. There were lots of people asking in my chat, just like, oh, why do they ask people about do they want Lighthouse Factory or Customs rework or whatever? When everybody wanted Lighthouse and they've done this, it's like, well, they were probably working on this anyway, right? Like he was probably
Yeah,
just
I would imagine.
trying to get the information. But what maybe is like I've just thought about this now. What might be kind of interesting about that poll is I think he asked about Customs and Factory and Lighthouse, and it's like, well, it might be Factory and Customs actually. The poll's kind of misleading. It's like it's not one or the other. It's both. Like we're changing both maps because they're both being integrated.
Oh, that is interesting. Yeah, I mean, just thinking about this a bit more, I think it's very intriguing how this could affect, gameplay. As you said, it's like what. Yeah, it would be pretty cool. Like if you could go through construction and then through skeleton, and then maybe they like bust down a wall. Like normally your options are either you cut right into the fortress area, up against the wall that takes you to old gas, or you go through the blue container into the street. What if you could just like there was just like a gate or like a door or like a hole in the wall? You could just go straight through this factory, and now you're in the map factory, and you cut through, and now you're like in this new area, and then you cut all the way through the train tracks. Maybe they cut open. There's like the train tracks gates are like blown open or cut open. You could go through there. Like the amount of because it is very like without this sort of hypothetical cut through, it's like you're funneled through two areas if you want to get to like Warehouse 4.
Yeah.
You gotta either go through the fortress route through the gas station to Warehouse 4, or you gotta go down the street underneath the bridge or over the train tracks. Then you have the factory key. If you don't have the factory key, then you gotta take the long way around, or you gotta do the very awkward jump on top of the barrels, the barbed wire, not die to shotgun scav shooting at you at the same time. So, good times. But
Yeah. And then
that's
Together might be in
interesting.
there
Yeah.
on
Oh my
Customs.
god. And that was the other thing I was gonna say too. Okay, that's actually true. I didn't think about that. So you'd have two bosses on that. That'd be crazy. And also, delivery from the past, you don't have to you could do it all on the same raid.
That's a game changer.
That would be a game. Honestly, that would be like such a quality of life feature effectively. Because you know how
Delivery from the future
delivery from the
to
future.
change the quest.
Yeah, you know how like nerve-wracking that quest was when you first started? I know you know. We all know.
Huh?
That quest was nerve-wracking. And if like, oh man, this game is hardcore. It's like the third quest I'm on and they're making me do two maps in one go. Like, yeah. Welcome
Yeah.
to Tarkov.
So yeah, it's quite cool. It could be, teasers of more stuff to come. Ash in
Mhm.
chat was saying, what if they open up multiple closed buildings on customs and Nikita's only teased one? Like, it's possible. It's
Fair.
perfectly possible. There's no reason why not. Yeah, they could. Absolutely could. Okay, so what else was on the agenda? That was all of the Nikita leaks. So we'll go into the current event that is going on. BSG posted a notice for a new event, which is nice of them. A new in-game event has started in Escape from Tarkov. This one is available from new in-game quest from Therapist is available to players. Added 3 spawn points of a 6 Sten 140M military battery. This is the tank battery, otherwise known as, with 100% spawn chance on customs. Added new military battery barters at mechanic. Raiders spawn in the military battery spawn points with 100% chance, mostly. For successfully completing the in-game quest line, players will receive an exclusive achievement, which will only be available for completing the quest chain. I can't remember what the name of the quest is, but Therapist gives you a new quest, and what you have to do is hand in one of every colored keycard. Doesn't have to be fine in raid.
Okay.
You have to hand in one of every colored keycard. Then there are, well, to complete that, it's called a key to salvation. Thank you very much. So on the back of this quest, they've added a bunch of new barters for the tank batteries, for colored keycards. You might not be surprised to hear, and they range in different values. From green, which is actually the highest value in this one, which is 12 tank batteries, down to I think black is like 2 tank batteries or something. Red is 10. Blue card is 7, I think, something like that. Anyway, and so you can buy the tank batteries off the Flea to barter for the keycards to hand in to therapists. So if you have enough money, you can just complete the quest instantly. If you have a full set of labs keycards, you can also just complete the quest instantly. So that's the thing. This is sort of a money sink event at the end of Wipe, right? The tank batteries, I think they were trading at approximately, I can't remember what exactly it was. I'm going to go and look it up. Let's have a look. Tank battery. I look these things up on Tarkov.dev, by the way, because they have a little 7-day history. Yeah, they were going for somewhere between 220 and 260k before.
Before, okay.
Yeah, tank batteries are very cheap. Yeah. Then the quest arrived. They jumped to 8 million each.
Oh my god.
Rapidly decreased to 4 million.
Okay.
And then they've been trending slowly lower ever since. I think this morning, the lowest price we've seen so far is about 1.7 mil. But in the regular day, they've kind of stabilized around the low 2s, like 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. I was kind of waiting. I went to go and have a go at the quest. It's still active. I don't know whether it will be by the time this comes out on Monday, but there's 3 tank batteries, one in dorms, one in New Gas, and one in Fortress. They could be in various different locations in those places, but in dorms, they're up on the balcony somewhere, like around the edge. In New Gas, they're either behind the counter in the sort of back storage room or in the office bit. And then in Fortress, I'm actually not sure because I haven't done Fortress as much as the others, but I know one can be up by the big machine gun. But yeah, you just have to look around for them. They're quite big, so they're not that easy to miss. But it's interesting, right? There's raiders there most of the time. It says 100%. I don't think they were always spawning. But there's raiders there most of the time, which is quite cool. And they don't seem too crazy either. There's obviously a lot of PvP, especially dorms. I was trying to do, mine actually was going okay. New Gas is where I had the most success. When I started trying to play in dorms, I started getting a bit owned by people who were very good. I wasn't playing very well, in fairness. I did not play particularly well around there, but I'm not actually that good at dorms. I was saying to chat, I feel very agnostic these days about what map I'm playing. I don't really have a home map. I sort of play each map evenly. And although I'm very comfortable with customs, a lot of people main that map so hard, especially towards the end of Wipe, because it's the PvP map, right? And I feel that whenever, it's a bit like labs, whenever I'm against people on that map, I just feel just outgunned, just completely underprepared. And people know, I got shot in all sorts of stupid ways, people leaning out of windows through hairline cracks and all sorts of stuff, right? It was just crazy. I was like, oh my God, all the PvP, dorms chat guys have come out of the woodwork, and I just cannot compete. I do not have enough experience playing in this particular location. Whereas around new gas, it feels a bit more fair because people don't tend to focus in on that. Like dorms is like so intricate.
Right. Yeah.
You can go in and out of different windows. Like the staircase is like jumps to get from the balcony down onto the lower level. Like it's shooting from dorms 3 to dorms 2. Like it's mad. So I started getting completely bludgeoned, and I ended up just like leaving the event and just like giving up and going back to the streets for a bit. But I got a couple of tank batteries. I expected the price to go down because as people complete the quest, they're not going to buy them anymore. But people are still farming the tank batteries, so it made sense they were going to go down. I sold all of mine when I jumped on, which was Tuesday, I think. Yeah, because I wasn't here on Monday. On Tuesday, I just sold the tank batteries that I got for like 3.3 million or something, and then yesterday I went and bought all the ones I needed at like 2.1 or 2.2 or something. Basically under 2.3. I was like, that's fine. I'll just buy them there. I had like all of them except for red, green, and blue. So I needed 10, 22, 29 tank batteries. It's quite a lot. I think I spent like 80 mil or something. No, maybe a bit less than that. Probably like 70 million. I managed to sneak one. I felt kind of bad. I managed to sneak one for to 23k because somebody managed to miss out 2 zeros, which is a real oof. I was just like, I got that one. So that was a nice freebie. But yeah, some people put them up like cheaply-ish, but because I had 175 mil before or something, I've still got like 110 or something like that. So I was like, whatever. And I was talking to a couple of other people I was actually talking to Easy8, who's my mod on Twitch, and I was talking to him offline and being like, people always ask me like why I amass so much money in Tarkov. They're like, oh, why don't you spend it? You should buy more cases. You should buy more stuff. You should run meta gear every raid. And I'm just like, this is why. Yeah. Because some dumb quest comes out that costs 100 million to complete if you want to do it easily. Like, and we've still got 6 weeks to go. Like, this isn't even a pre-wipe event. You know, we had like Terror Group Trail where you needed green. If you wanted to buy green, it was 100 million on the Flea. So I had to like go cap in hand to somebody else to try and get them to let you into green, right? It's just like a pain. Or like the tiger thing that you had to go and plant. Or no, it wasn't even the tiger. It was the machete, wasn't it? It was like the something 8 sword or whatever. Like some melee weapon that nobody, and that was going for like 12 billion rubles on the Flea. Like, these things just always happen. So that's why.
I mean, if I log in my account now, I still have like just random miscellaneous keys saved in case they do an event that I want to play where it's like, because remember they did that one, I think it's the same one you're talking about, where they was like, you need the pumping station key, front and back door. That's like, nobody ever in the history, like there's probably like 10 people in the entire universe that has those keys in their stash, you know?
Yeah. And then I think the other one was Lexos closed section. But because because of the event, Caban wasn't spawning. And so you couldn't get it.
I remember.
And so they were like, they were like millions of rubles because there was like there was no supply. Like you had to they were like the insignificant chance of finding one in a jacket, which is like really low, and that was it. Like the main source of the key was gone, and they did add him back, and they fixed it right. Like they made the melee weapon a bit better as time goes on. But anyway, like if you want to complete this stuff in a timely fashion, then sometimes it costs a lot of money. It's not even gear that I'm worried about. It's like the ability to do this stuff. I'm like half tempted to, because now I have no keys at all. I sent all of my color keycards to therapists. I have none now, but the barters are still open. So it's like, should I go back and get the others? You know, it's like 2 for black, 3 for yellow, 5 for violet, 7 for blue, 10 for red, and 12 for green. You know, you could buy a full set right now. So like, how much did I say they were going for? Like, maybe I'd wait until like tomorrow morning or something. But it's like 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 10 plus 12. You need like 39 in total. And if you can snatch them for even 2 million, that's like 78 mil for the full set of Labs keycards, which is not bad, really.
Yeah.
In fairness, they were trading a lot lower than this before because of how much more prevalent they made the keycards.
Yeah.
In general, the spawn rate on them, marked rooms, bosses, blah blah blah. So it was actually a lot cheaper than that before. Because I was like looking at it and I was tempted, like, oh, should I pick some up and then keep them and then resell them later? But when you look at the chart, they're actually higher now than they were previously. But yeah, it's just like, it's one of those things like BSG and their late wipe shenanigans. They just love to put crazy items in. So yeah, but I mean that's the event. Like it's fun. It does force a lot of people to go to customs. There's some decent PvP there. It's been kind of interesting. But I'm sort of done. Like I don't want to play customs like every single stream. Customs is fine, but I prefer. I personally just prefer playing streets actually, and like doing other stuff other than this. Like now that I've done the quest, and there's an achievement with it that comes for completing it. Actually, yeah. I'll take a breather, and then you can say whatever you want to say about the event because it's a good segue into like what I've been up to. But I'll leave that for a second just to make sure that we're done with the topic.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the things we do for pixels is like it is a pretty cool achievement. It's like kind of looks like a Pastille esque. Like it's like the plague doctor, a key to salvation, help therapists save lives. Not sure why it's associated with plague doctor. Back in old times, I guess. Yeah, kind of fits. Anyways,
Yeah, I
the
don't
other thing
really
I thought that
know.
was interesting was the green was 12 batteries and red was 10, which I've always thought that red was like supposed to be the most luxurious one of the bunch, but I guess I mean, like in theory, so to speak, it's not always been the case, especially in the past like 3+ years or so. Like there was a point in time where
Yeah.
red was like insane, like
Mhm.
guaranteed bitcoins. Now it's like you'll be lucky to get a GP coin. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that they themselves sort of like acknowledge the power or the value of each card correctly as it stands.
Yeah,
Green is
exactly.
the best.
I think like green has been kind of redubbed as the best card, but the
Yeah.
spawn rates always ended up making red rarer, despite it not actually being as like valuable. It's like a weird thing, isn't it? Where it's like
Yeah.
something is super rare, which makes its value go up, even though it's not necessarily as good as something else. Like people want all the cards, so they will still pay the higher price for something that's not as good. Partly because I mean, it's one of the things about the labs cards, right? Like, what is their value? Well, they have infinite uses, so you kind of buy them at any price. Like if you're running labs a
Yeah.
lot, you want to, or maybe just, a lot of people just buy them as a trophy. What else are you going to spend your money on? And so
Sure.
there's always buyers for them. But yeah, no, it is intriguing. I actually just like, because you said about the Pestily thing on the achievement icon, which made me think like, I actually don't know anything about what this quest was supposed to be because I didn't read the flavor text. So I want to just have a quick look at that. And it says like, good afternoon. I desperately need the staff keycards from the Terra Group lab. Full well how impossible it is to even get one of those. And mechanics willing to trade some for military equipment, but I lack the manpower to gather it. This is a matter of life and death. Will you help? And once you complete it, it says, "Thank you. I don't know how or where you got them, but now I can get the equipment that will surely delight my patience. Of course, these cards are the key to salvation, no less." Which is, I mean, there's references to therapists being pretty dodgy throughout the quest, but that's very, very, very blatant.
Yeah.
We know that she's kind of crooked, right? She's very associated with Terra Group and blah blah, and like can't really be trusted. Quite interesting, at least a little bit of lore there. So what I was going to say before, what you get from finishing this is obviously the achievement. You get a bunch of stims, and then you get 5 of the acid green flare cartridges.
Is that the one that turns bosses / scavs into friendlies?
Correct.
Okay.
And you also get a barter for the acid green flare as well at
Oh.
level 1 therapist. 10 H2O2s, 5 multivitamins, and a defib, and you can barter for a acid green flare cartridge. So you can turn the bosses friendly. Now, what I've been doing recently is, as I said right at the beginning, I've been doing a combination of different things. Some stuff for Lightkeeper, some stuff for Ref, on off, depending on how I feel on the day. And yesterday I was doing one of the Ref quests, which is quite it's sort of tricky in some ways. You have to think about it a little bit. It's not necessarily that easy. I actually quite like it as a quest. I think it's quite good.
Okay.
What you have to do is you have to go and kill 3 of Kollontai guards and 3 of Kaban's guards. But you're not allowed to kill or even, in fact, harm Kollontai or Kaban themselves. So if you shoot either Kaban and damage Kaban or Kollontai, the quest fails.
But you have to kill the guards.
But you have to kill 3 of the guards of each.
Interesting.
So it's not necessarily that difficult, but you have to think about it a little bit. There's no requirements for survival.
Okay.
And you can do it obviously over multiple raids, right? There's no requirement for doing it in one raid. or anything like that. So I've just kind of been going and looking for them. I completed Kaban just because I was near his thing. Kaban's probably easier. The apparently the and they do, the snipers on the roof also count because they're part of Kaban's kind of retinue or whatever. So you basically like kill the gunner on the front, kill another guard that's just on the inside, and then shoot one of the snipers on the roof, and then you can just run away. Right? You don't have to take Kaban out or whatever. So I got to that point, and then I was looking for Kollontai, ran a couple of raids. I'd found Kollontai the one time, but somebody else had already got there first. I killed the PMC, but when I got there was only one guard remaining. And I was like basically running, and he was in the military academy section. So I was like running from one side to the other, trying not to get shot at by Kollontai and trying to like peek in and not get. So you have to take flashes, right? Because you can't use frag grenades because you don't want to hurt him. So you got to be like super, super careful. Managed to kill one guard, but he was the only one left. So I had to rerun, rerun it. I had to run two more raids before we found him again. We find Kollontai, kill two of the guards, pretty straightforward. And I'm making my way towards the extract. And this is all interlinked, by the way. I'm making my way towards the extract. I decide rather than going down the relaxation room, the sort of big street, the main street, I'm going to weave my way through the back alleys towards Factory Marked Room and that kind of area. I start taking some shots and I dive into there's kind of like an ornate building along that road where you can get in from the back street and then it comes out onto the main road. You go up like the sort of spirally kind of staircase. There's a room at the top that looks out over the top of Relaxation Room. It's like one of the camping spots outside Relaxation Room, yeah. And it's got like two entrances, one at either end. One goes out to the main street and the other one goes to the back end. I dive into there and like run round. I don't go upstairs. I just like run around the corner because there's like some kind of like AI coming down the stairs, which I kill. And I was just like, what is going on? I get like a random quest pop up in the corner being like, I've completed some other random quest. But I was just like, there was like gunfire going off, grenades. Like it was freaking crazy, man. I was like being bombarded with too much stuff. And I was just like, what is that? What's happening with this quest? And I was just confused. I kill like 2 or 3 of these like crazy AIs. I'm like, what is going on? I run upstairs to try and get some cover, run slap bang right into Kaban. I shoot him once and Kaban kills me, right? I come out of the quest and I'm just like, okay, well, out of the raid, I'm just like, well, it doesn't matter. Let's go hand the quest in. Boom, quest is failed. Because I shot Kaban before I left the raid. And even though it completed, it's like bullshit. It's like the medical armor one for the scavs. All of those ones. Even when it completes, if you damage one of the 2 of them, it uncompletes and fails the quest for you. Now, what had happened? Somebody else had completed the therapist quest, taken the acid green thing, gone to Lexos, fired it off, and then brought the people over to some random place on the map, who I happened to bump into just after finishing the Kollontai part of the quest, and ended up getting. I got 1 shot off on Kaban, which was enough for me to fail the quest, and then instantly die to him because he stood right in front of me with the PKM. Mm-hmm. It was like the most unlikely. Like I was like, what the hell? Like now I've got to redo the quest again. This is like so annoying. But it was quite funny, to be fair, looking back in hindsight.
That is fun. I mean, like my first thought was like, oh my god, BSG spaghetti code had it again, but that's actually really crazy. So I also thought you had like the quest was specifically calling out you couldn't kill him, but you can't harm him. It's even more like,
you can't even harm him. Like I didn't kill Kaban, I just went so you can't take frags with you. Like that's why I kind of don't mind the quest in some ways because you have to think about it. You have to use flashes and like you have to be like kind of careful and tactical and stuff. I actually thought it was quite like I found it quite fun to do. So I had to redo it, and I got really lucky that they were both in. I think it was not necessarily the next raid; it was maybe the one after that, and they actually both spawned in the same raid. And I went in and did Kaban, and then I went and did Kollontai and did them both in one go, and then left. And it was like on the way out, we're just like, I'm gonna have my hand off the mouse button. Like I would rather die. It's like bullshit, right? I would rather die than accidentally shoot anybody at this point. Like you can have the kit, it's fine. I'm gonna try and extract if I can, but I'm just not gonna shoot. I'm not gonna damage anyone. I'm a complete pacifist at this point. Right? I'm a conscientious objector.
Sends it off to the side.
Exactly. It's WASD and shift only at this point. Like unbind the mouse 1 key. So yeah, but that was funny. I was just like the chain of events that allowed that to happen. Was just it was remarkable. It's just how what are the chances of that? It's completely crazy. So yeah, that was actually quite an interesting one. Interesting quest. I didn't mind that. I thought it was quite cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's definitely a challenge for sure.
Hmm.
Something you have to
Mm-hmm.
like really, oops, wrong button. You have to really like approach a certain way and think about, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool. I'm on to the next one. So that was the last quest in the like most of the others are like plant TNT in certain
Mm-hmm.
places and like going, I think there was like a kill scavs one with like certain kit and it was like there was like G36 kill scavs, whatever. They're not that hard. So I'm on to the one after that, which is win a ranked match in arena, which I had a look at doing last night. Um the
Oh, so
first one we
some of the
managed to do.
quests are in Tarkov and some are in
Mhm.
Arena. Oh, that's
Yeah. So
interesting.
the
I didn't
the
realize that.
first the first like 5 or 6 quests are all in Tarkov, and then the next set are all in arena for about like 4 or 5 quests.
Hmm.
And so it's like win a ranked match in arena. Then the next one is win 5 ranked matches and get to 1700 ARP,
Hmm.
which is sort of like that's kind of. I was gonna say that's kind of hard. Like you start at 1500, so
Mm-hmm.
you've actually got like you can't just. It's sort of unlike most quests in EFT. There are very few quests in Tarkov now that are like properly skill blocked. Like you can usually like even
Right.
things like I guess like the ones that are probably the most like that is things like Psycho Sniper and like Tarkov Shooter 8 and stuff like that. They're hard quests. You have to do a very specific thing in a certain time. Like you can't just like slowly whittle away at the quest and finish it, right? So like, this is weird because this like 1700 ARP is like a win rate thing.
Yes.
It's not like win 10 as it says win 5 arena matches. It's like you have to get a certain win rate and you could easily get in a hole. You have to actually get good.
Does does the 5 wins have to be consecutive, or is it just win any five?
It's just win any 5. They do get a bit harder after this. But I didn't realize that from my arena playing that I had previously, I actually am at 1650 anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm quite close. I'm only like 2 wins away from
Mm-hmm.
1700s. So it's actually not that bad. I've still got to play 5 matches. I'm probably going to do them offline. I'm probably not going to do them on stream. Um, so I might just like gather random interest in the Discord or whatever, and just be like, play a round of arena or two. It's actually more fun than I remember. I enjoyed the last hero mode when I played it, but when I went to go and do the matches last night, it was actually okay. Arena's like it's a thing. It's not. It's fun because I have a thing to do. Like I'm not just going to play it on its own with nothing to do. But if I have a thing where I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at the ref stuff, I'm like I don't know. I find that interesting when there's progression tied to it. It's gives it that allure of like, okay, maybe I do want to try doing this. Up to where I'm at right now, I'm actually already at ref level 3. You
Yeah.
do get a boost from EOD of zero point 0.2 like you do with everyone else. Ref level 3 is only 0.5. But then ref level 4 is like 1.2, which is
Wow.
very high.
Yeah.
And the quests give you some, but I'm not sure whether you have to do dailies to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know because you get rep from dailies in arena.
Something
But
caught
yeah,
my eye. I see this green flare for 2 GP coins on level 1.
that's
Uh,
not the one you're thinking of.
okay.
It's the normal one.
I just had to ask. That was
I don't know why it's there. I guess you could put it in the signal pistol. Like the signal pistol definitely needs to go in the special slot. Like it shouldn't drop when you die. Like it's stupid. It doesn't
yeah.
make
It's
sense.
just too hard to get a hold of, which makes it
Yeah,
expensive. So it's kind of
it
like
should be a utility thing that you keep, right? Like it's silly.
yeah.
It needs to be cheaper. Like the regular green flare is like 6K. So
Maybe
why?
they
Like,
could
is
like
what's the point?
put it. It goes in the melee slot, quote unquote,
Yeah,
but it just
yeah,
functions
maybe.
the exact same. It's just that's like an easy band aid.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, some of the stuff in ref is quite good. So I don't think in level 1 and 2 there's anything amazing. Like there's some kind of nice stuff. Like if you're missing certain things from the hideout,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
could
there's
get
like
that.
blue tape bolts. So you'd be like
Yeah,
level 15. I don't know if that's really that great, but maybe. Actually, maybe because in GP coins you can't buy them.
yeah.
So
So
yeah,
so I've
actually.
just got to
Hmm.
level 3. Level 1 is not that great. Level 2
Oh
is
my.
quite good for level 15, I would say. But not
Oh,
crazy.
that's right. That was just level 1, which has no
Yeah,
requirement. Oh, my
yeah.
mistake. Yeah,
So that's
that's
actually all
actually pretty
right.
good.
And
Hold up.
GP coins, you get like 20 to
Oh my
30 from completing a daily.
god.
So you could get like a decked out PP19 or like a starter MPX or whatever for that. What key? I actually can't remember what key it is. I don't think. Oh, it's one of the hideout keys, isn't it? Yeah, it's a special hideout key, and that's the key. There is for those like Lega coins. So
Yeah, yeah.
you know, I don't have any of them yet. Tier 2 is like decent. Again, at level 15, that's pretty good. I think the
P90.
one that's good
Oh
is like
my.
the P90 and the
Yeah.
M4 one. So the M4, like I'm looking at this through the lens of like progression or whatever, and being like, okay, what's interesting about like the RSH one is not bad because it has attack 30 on the top.
Yeah.
By the way, the RSH 12, harsher.
Yeah.
What's interesting is things like the 60 rounder mag for the M4.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of intriguing. Yeah, the P90 with its suppressor. There's some cases in there. The ammo is not that good. I can't remember which ones it is exactly, but I don't think any of them stood out to me. The ANA M2 rig is not bad there. But at level 3 is where it gets kind of cool. So I'm actually going through like some armor plate stuff at the moment. I'm like doing some work on it at the minute. And what's interesting about level 3 is that, people always, people actually are asking me a lot about like, where do I get, if I'm progressing, where do I get the GAC plate from to start off the plate alchemy? And at level 3 ref, you can now buy the ASCPC. So
Oh
doing
wow.
arena, you can get
Oh
the
my
ACPC
god.
from him at level 25. So that's actually kind of the easiest way, I think, to
Which
get the GAC plate to start off the thing.
which
That
one is
Osprey is the class 2 Osprey.
okay, okay.
But the ACPC is crazy for 22 coins. That's not
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. Even like Trooper is pretty solid.
Trooper's okay now. I mean, the thing is, it
The
comes with class 4 plates for Trooper,
backpack.
right?
A
Whereas, like,
ULAC? Oh my
yeah.
god.
Whereas the ACPC comes with class 5, like, GACs. So that ACPC, I think, is like insane. But like, there's good stuff, There's good stuff here. Oh, you have to earn those GPs though, which is why it's kind of okay because it's like its
Yeah.
own separate currency. You can't buy them. Some of the ammo there's alright. Like none of it's crazy if I remember correctly. It was like PP and like SPP for the VSS and like things like that. Level 4 is where it gets like kind of bonkers because you can buy Altons and things, but it's and like graphics cards and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I don't think any of the ammo is like super busted. What's interesting, you can buy things like the Juk Digital, which you just haven't been able to get for ages. The Mark 18 Mjolnir
Wow.
is kind of nuts, but I think that one might be Lega coin because you can see the ones that have got
Oh,
barter. I think
I
they're
see.
Lega
Yeah.
coin one rather than GP. But Juk Digital's like pretty decent. It's like making some of the plates more accessible and whatever. You can get the waffle suppressor, 60 round M4 mag there again. Thick cases.
I mean, I don't know what the input of, work to rewards ratio is, but just looking at this, I mean, it looks pretty heckin' good. Like, if I had to spend 20 minutes, I mean, not cumulative time, but, 20 minutes to farm X amount of 45 GP coins for the M4, that just seems pretty good at like level 15, is it? Out the gate? Even
Yeah,
just for the
early on is pretty
quest.
good.
I mean, yeah, you're just getting a gun, so you're not necessarily getting like
Ammo or
ammo.
anything.
Yeah. And like maybe the P90 is not even that great because the mags are probably hard to get a hold of. Like even if you could buy off the fleet, they're probably expensive. But
Yeah.
I don't know, just something about this, like just kind of like I don't know.
Yeah, like
Makes
it
makes
depends on the
me.
dailies, right? Like the dailies are sometimes hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
You have to like re-roll them, and that costs actual money. So it's kind of it's weird, right? It's like rubles plus time equals GP coins because you basically like re-roll the dailies
Until you get the ones where it's like
with your money
turn-ins.
until you get the ones that kind of because like the ones that are easy are things like kill X number of people with like a particular like class tree or kill certain enemies in the main time as this particular class tree, stuff like that. Like I've had a couple of those, and they're very straightforward. I mean, I've probably got now about 150 GP coins, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I've not spent them on anything
Mm-hmm.
as of yet. I don't really need to. I'm sort of waiting until level 4. But like I can buy all this stuff. Like once you get to max traders, you can buy all of these things. Like there's nothing in here that I can't buy. So I think
Um.
the idea really is that the GP coins kind of like they give you like a currency that's non-farm or like not as easily farmed that bumps your progression up higher. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the problem that I don't like about it.
Yeah. But it's limited, so like I feel like it might be all right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a one-off thing almost, you know? You can only do so many per day. Can't just farm GP coins
You
like
can't just like play the
non-stop.
regular game mode of Arena and get GP coins
I
that way.
No, I don't think so. I think it's only from the
Okay.
quests.
Okay.
I think you can still find them in base EFT. I think you can like farm safes and stuff for them. But then you're doing the work.
Okay.
I
So
think you have to
they did
actually do the
that.
work, do the
Huh.
specific thing. I think so. I can't quite remember.
But you couldn't actually do anything with them if you don't have Arena, correct? Or no?
No, true. But you could like farm. I think you can farm them like without having to play Arena though. Is what I mean. So you know if you have
Yeah.
Arena but you don't want to play it right now, you could just go looking for safes and stuff on your route.
Damn, that's really suck if you don't have Arena and you loot a safe and it's just GP coins. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean they're available in PvE as well, right? And it's like you can't access ref in PvE.
yeah.
People are complaining about that a bit, but I mean, I don't think it matters that much. You can't even sell them. You have to just delete them, I think.
Yeah, it's not my favorite thing in the world. But like, it's not. I don't think it's like, oh my god, the game's really broken. But it does feel a bit off.
I think the fact that you can play like Nice Guy did 6 or 7 hours of Arena and get to level 15, I think that's a bigger problem than this. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the XP sharing is probably top on my priority list for sure. I feel like that just kind of, I don't know, it just makes maybe it's fine. It's hard to say because I could see like you know maybe want people to have a path that's like less specific to tasking to progress to get to the flea market because that's probably like the big value, right? I mean, level 15 as you put it. I don't know. Yeah, that would be so weird. Imagine playing the wipe start and just not even playing the wipe, just go to Arena for 6 hours. And then you come back and you're level 15 and then you just like go on a flea and start buying whatever you want to buy. Like what would you even do hypothetically? What would you do? What would be like the min-max ideal thing? You know? Would you just like get giga chatted, quote unquote? It's probably be really expensive, so it's maybe not even worth. Would you just like, you would probably turn it out for the hideout? Yeah, let's get the hideout going, baby.
Well, that's the idea. Yeah, that's the idea. Because if you can get ahead on the hideout, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
You might like. I'm still torn as to what the best thing to do is. Like, you can play like long term, like we've always done in the past. But you could do if you get there early with Arena, you're then like before the wave of everybody else getting in. So some of the items are like crazy expensive. So you can actually start selling stuff.
That's what I was just thinking. Yeah, maybe it's just better just to get in so early that you could start. So yeah.
Maybe you do a combination. I don't know. Like maybe you do. You know, you get your workbench up, whatever. Because you want to start making. Like in my opinion, you always want to start making wires.
Yeah.
As early as you can.
Yeah.
And you want to start doing like some stuff in the med station, right? So whatever it is, like something just to just get started. Lavatory's a bit harder, but like you kind of want to get to what's always really expensive, like hoses.
Yeah,
always like really, really pricey if you do that early. And so like if you can get to those and then sort of sell everything else, maybe that's good. Because I know there's a bunch of people that like buying graphics cards early.
Yeah.
Because they're really cheap on wipe. But they're progressively getting more and more expensive early on. Because nobody has any money, right? So that's the thing. People kind of want to buy them, but no one has any cash. And they and that's why it's interesting. That's why early wipe is cool, because you're like trying to allocate your resources between like my actual kit when I go in.
Yeah.
Versus like what do I upgrade in the hideout versus like what long-term stuff do I buy?
Yes.
Do I buy fuel? Do I buy graphics cards? Do I buy items that, and this is an interesting one that I did this wipe, items that I will need for gunsmith that are almost impossible to get a hold of that go for really cheap now because people have forgotten that you need the vector rail, right? But later it's going to be 400k, but right now it's 19,000 because like someone's forgotten. Like I almost have like a shopping list of like gunsmith stuff that I want to buy as I go through. I filled a weapons case with just gunsmith bits.
Yeah.
And so when I came to the actual quest, I was just like, oh, buy that. I like just went through each gunsmith one after another. I was like, even if they change some of them, like it doesn't matter too much. All the stuff's so cheap now that I'll buy a AK-12, AK-101 circle mag. I'll buy the Vector like underneath rail thing. I'll buy skeletonized tactical foregrips. I'll buy all of those like shenanigans. And so then I think there was like one or two that I'd forgotten or whatever by the time I got there. But it like saved so much money because some of them are just impossible to get to until you've done the quest. Like they're designed in that way. It's like, oh, that gunsmith task unlocks the part you want. There's so many of them that are designed like that. It's annoying. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Like I don't really want to play Arena on wipe. Like even if it's meta, like I kind of want to do the tasks because you still need. This is the weird thing, right? It's like yes, you can get to the fleet. Yes, you can make a ton of money, but you still need a trader rep in order to actually buy the better things.
For sure.
Well, maybe. Because so what's at level 2 again?
Well, hang on a minute, just to verify. Do you actually need traders? Because Found and Raid is like kind of not a thing, but is a thing. But I don't even know now.
It's not a thing up to class 4, right? So
okay. And
so yeah, you can't get class 5 or class 6, and you can't. Yes, ammo and armor and some guns.
Some guns, okay.
Which is another good segue, by the way.
Yeah.
So we'll segue into that in a minute. But it's ammo and armor and some guns. Armor probably being the most important one.
Yeah.
But that's gated like really high right now. I don't know how. Don't know how it'll be in the next wipe, but like I've just been like doing the run through of stuff this morning, so I'm actually kind of like on the ball with it, which is good. Most of it's class 4, sorry, trade level 4, because class 4 you can just freely sell, right? So monoclinic plates are just like on the fleet. You can sell armors with them in, like it's quite free flowing. As soon as you get to class 5, you're talking trade like level 4 traders almost exclusively. The one exception being the Corunt, and you have to, and it's the Corunt itself is on Prapor 4, but the Corunt plate is after reconnaissance at Prapor 3. And then you can go and buy a Corunt or a Bagari. It only fits the Corunt or the Bagari. You can buy those on the Flea with no plates. So you have to go and buy one of those and then buy the front plate using a golden egg from Prapor and then putting it in there. Now that's the earliest you can do it. And that's Prapor 3, which I think is like level 26 or something. I can't remember. That's like, it's pretty early though.
It's fairly, you're right. It's fairly early.
It's pretty early. But, the offset to that is at level 25, technically if you can get to ref level 3,
right,
then you could buy ACPC,
which is crazy. I think the other crazy thing was the ULAC for me, because you can't buy them off the traders anymore. Like they completely bought.
You can now. You can now. Back. You can now.
So Ragman has both the tan and the.
Or
does it? Or was it just
I'm pretty
the
sure
tan?
he has both. I'm pretty sure they have both now.
Okay.
Oh, let me check. Something's gone wrong with this website. Broken. You can definitely buy the black one.
Okay.
Let me see. The black one is so something's gone wrong with the site I usually use, but never mind. Yeah, you can definitely buy the black one.
Okay.
The tan one, I don't know because it's always cheap on the Flea. It's like 60k because no one wants to wear the beacon of Gondor on their head.
Yeah.
But you can buy.
I think the tan one used to only be Found and Raid, and then the black one used to be Ragman 3 or 4. And then I thought one of the recent ones they removed it, but apparently it's back in, so maybe not that crazy, but
but anyway, like buying it at level 25 though is the thing. Because you can only get it at like I can't remember if it's Peacekeeper or whatever. Actually, I'll just look on the wiki. Let me look on the wiki. It won't say the price, but it'll tell me where. Oh, you're right. You can't buy the black one. I thought you could buy the black one. Maybe I'm just wrong. Ragman, you can after sales night, you can buy the tan one, and then on ref level 3, you can get the black one.
Oh, you get the tan one.
Ragman, yeah. I thought you could buy the black one. Maybe it's because it's so like freely available on the Flea. That I think that must be it because you can buy it on the Flea, and because like the way that finding the reason why I'm mistaken about this, I think, is that the change to finding raid has made player gear so much more liquid. Like before, like how would you get a ULAC? You'd have to find one in a box.
Yeah.
Scav case.
Yeah.
Guard. Raider. Something like that. Come out of raid and sell it on the floor. Someone buys it, and then that's it. It either comes back to them in insurance, or somebody steals it, or they don't insure it and it disappears. They take it to labs, it disappears. Whereas now, as soon as someone dies with it on, somebody else takes it, they almost always upgrade to the ULAC, and then they sell it back on the Flea. So that churn, that ULAC has now come back again and again and again on the Flea. So the prices now are not as bad as they were before. It's like the same with a lot of different things, like the spear and Death Shadows, CQCMs, all of these things that were like hard to get, like almost impossible to find in raid. So CQCMs were like 400k, but now they're nowhere near that. Same as spears, they were like 500, 600,000 rubles at one point because they were like Mark Dream only. And now they're about 200 because you can just recycle them around on players. The durability is like very variable.
Yeah.
On those things because they've gone through lots of people's hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what like the meta would be. Like, you're going to be able to get to level 15 pretty quickly anyway. I think it normally takes me like 2 days though. Don't think I can get to level 15 in 1 day of playing. Don't know. I don't think I get there in 12 hours. I can't really remember.
I think if you wanted to, like, for example, thinking of how Willers said he likes to play the wipes as he focuses on making money the first couple of days. Because, he reached level 15 and he just basically, as he puts it, he becomes Home Depot and he's just selling out all the hideout stuff. And then you're kind of like set financially for a good while in the wipe.
Yeah.
So I think if you want to do that, that might be more optimal because I was thinking, oh my God, you could get to the Flea so fast. But then like, if you and 2 other people there are the first to the Flea, you're just selling to each other. And it's not like you're going to be selling things for cheap. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to list things for a high. Like it's going to start high, and then as more people come,
yeah, I think you want to be a seller there early.
Yes.
You don't want to be there to buy anything. You want to be there to sell stuff to other, schmucks that are turning up and want to race to their hideout. That's what you want.
So I don't know. It's that I guess, yeah. If you wanted to do that, I guess that would be a way to do it because then you just play arena, which isn't as, because that's for me that's like the most interesting part about Tarkov, as you said. It's like when you play the early wipe, you got to make these decisions like, do I invest my rubles, my resources into my kit, or do I take the risk of risking my short-term experience for investment in the long term? Do I upgrade the hideout and have 300 rubles to my name and a Mosin and go back to factory to do the quest? Or do I just sit and wait for my scav timer instead? It's like, or do I just keep the money and, put it in a medium tier kit? Or, do I just save, hoard, it's like, there's a lot of decisions to make. It makes the early game super interesting and dynamic. But if you could just sort of like, I don't know, bypass that, which I don't think is the case here necessarily, but you're sort of like bypassing the risk of going into raid by just playing arena. In theory, I don't know. It felt like there's just something there that for me is just like it's detracting a bit from the experience, but I'm not sure what the experience is to begin with because I don't know what PSG wants always. So
it's funny, isn't it? You're kind of like, you're bypassing the experience of going into raid and EFT, and you're sort of skipping the like, oh, I need the rubles to go and get the stuff because you're playing that in arena, but you're sacrificing other stuff. It's like you're sacrificing the time that you could be getting trade of rep instead. You're kind of like, you're sacrificing that for gear, maybe like faster XP and the ability to sell stuff on the Flea earlier than other people. It's like it's a difficult one. It's like, I'm not sure which is better, right? Like the first way, you'll probably be slower to 15. You'll probably have, I say probably have less money. Don't know actually, because let's put it this way. So you'll have, if you just do it normally, you'll have higher trader rep probably. It'll probably be slower to get to 15, but you'll probably have way more items when you do get to level 15.
Doing it the
normal
usual way? Okay.
The usual way.
Yeah.
So you'll have a full stash with all sorts of crap in there that you can offload.
Yep.
And you'll have very mediocre gear. So you're doing it the arena way, you'll probably get to 15 earlier, which then will allow you to sell items early, but you'll have to then go and farm those items in basic Tarkov as well, so you won't be able to sell as many items because you won't have as many because you spent the first 7 hours playing arena. You will probably have a bit better gear, maybe. No, but you still need to do the ref quest line to get up to like level 3 and stuff. So you'll be able to buy stuff off the Flea though that's like decent because you have more cash. Not that you were locked out of that before because it's all available stuff.
Wait a minute, because now you're really making my gears turn here, because then presumably you would get GP coins. Like if you're going to play arena for the EXP and the base game, you might as well also do the dailies.
Of course. So you'll have GPs, yes.
So you'll have that resource for
But you don't have the
1.
quest. So you'll have level 1, but the level 1 stuff is kind of like, I don't think it's very good, really, right? It's like
but
PP19 is probably the best, but like all the armors are class 3. I could buy those anyway, right? It's
yeah.
not a problem. You can buy the
Well,
Fragment 1, so that's no big deal.
I was thinking more you just dump it into the hideout stuff, the bolts, the bulbs, and the blue tape.
Because you can resell them on the Flea.
I didn't even think about that, but you could do that. I was gonna say.
Is that what you were thinking? You were saying you use them?
Yeah, but you could
I was
do
thinking
that
you resell
also.
them because there's no finding raid anymore.
Yeah, you could do that also. Oh my god, you could liquidate GP coins into rubles. We cracked the code.
I was thinking about this last night and this morning, which is a question that I haven't investigated yet, which is what is the most optimal GP coin to ruble transfer, right? Because all of these items have a GP value and all of the items have a ruble value. So there's one of these items is going to be the best. Like some of them you can't sell, some of them you can.
The drill.
I'm not sure, and it's going to change as time goes on, right? So I don't know what is the best combo. You know, like those ES lamps are probably not bad. 5 GP coins, they sell for like 40k, like even now. Or wires, like the cords, power cords for 4 GP coins. Like that's really cheap. They go for a lot because people buy wires for a lot. They're like what 40k or something on the Flea or something, and that's only 4.
Seems pretty good.
So
now it's like rubles to GP coins to slot to stash space. The cords take up 2, but the ES takes up 1. You got to like. Oh my god, this is like just math simulator. This game.
I love
Economy,
it.
The video game.
I love it. I love it. I love it so much. You know, the key tool there is kind of cool. The fact that, because like the key tool is pretty expensive normally. That's like quite hard to get to, and it's like quite a decent early game upgrade. To be able to buy it with like your alternative resource that is, I was going to say it's hard to turn into rubles, but I actually don't think it is. After we've had this conversation, it's like I just buy. He's got a lot of bolts. Like I just buy a full stack of bolts and sell them all. And that converts all my GP coins to real money.
I wonder what that's going to do to the market. Like if a lot of people do this, you would have an influx of items. Like the supply is going to go up. So I wonder. Like demand's going to stay the same, but I wonder like is this going to be enough of an added supply to like drop the price globally for people?
Like the question is whether it will do it a lot or not. I mean, I don't know. And there's like very specific things. It's like bolts and blue tape in particular, and those bulbs. Those bulbs are expensive early, right? Because they're like illumination.
Like the other one I was thinking, it's like a few niche miscellaneous stuff like. I know workbench. I think even like the wall and the hideout, maybe the generator. There's like a few things that's just like, oh yeah, you need a drill. But 8 GP coins is kind of up there. But
kinda
drill
high.
is like the one item that's like kind of, I won't say hard to get a hold of. It's just like not common. We'll say.
Yeah, it's not that common. They're 4 slot. They're like kind of annoying to take out a raid, and so it like pushes the price up because people often get rid of them. Right? If you've got the option of taking a drill or like 4 ES lamps early wipe, you'll always take the ES lamps. So it's like people tend to leave them in the raid. Like it's not like and they're sort of rare, so people aren't coming across them all the time, and often they'll pass them up. So it's like it's one of those ones. Like storage space in your actual player is like a bit limited early. See, this is interesting. This is certainly interesting. I don't know. I'm not really theory crafted like the early wipe with the addition of ref yet, but to get to the higher levels of ref, you still have to do the quest line.
Yeah.
Which includes the ones I was just talking about, right? Like killing Caban's guards and whatever. It's like not necessarily that easy early. No. Like I'm doing it with class 6 armor in the new armor system with like, a spear.
But according to this, you would also have to do Easy Money Part 1?
That's the first one. That's the very first one. Yeah, that's the very first quest of the group. So you do Burning Rubber, and then you get to do this one, where you have to plant the thing.
Oh, okay.
That then gives you ref 1, and then it goes up with trader rep after that.
I don't see
prerequisites. This is like planting the posters.
Oh, okay, you would get this immediately after Burning Rubber, which is where you gotta take
the ground 0 one. Yeah.
Yeah, the quests. Okay.
And then Easy Money Part 2. Then you've got like about 5 or 6 quests here. So what's this one? This was... Oh, yeah, fine. Oh, yeah, but then that's actually going to be maybe that's quite a good quest to have second. That's actually quite hard to do.
Yeah,
Pevco Light Beer is difficult without the hideout. I can't remember what nutrition unit Pevco is. It might be 3.
I think it's 3. I think you're right.
Finding Pevcos in raid is not very common.
No, I mean you could do the starter map. What's it called again? I can't
Ground
think of it.
Zero.
Yeah, Ground Zero. Thank you.
Do they have Pevcos?
It's like food items are
I
like a
know.
lot, but it's like feels like it's very like common food items. You know.
It's where I did the Tarka. Lots of people were asking about the Tarka beef, the
Mm-hmm.
dried meat, and I was like, go to Ground. Like I found mine in Ground Zero like
Yeah.
straight away.
Yeah.
Um,
But
so
like
yeah, the 7 Pevco
beers.
is like a lot,
Yeah.
and you don't find them very much. So I think that's a big gate. What's the next one? Balancing. I can't remember. I mean, I've done all these, but I can't remember now. The rest of them aren't that bad, but I think Pevco really
No.
gates it. What's balancing part one? I forget. That one is that's
10
easy. That's like
scavs, G36.
yeah, 10 scouts, G36 and a Thor. That's no problem. It's the
But
little
like,
Thor as well.
how are you gonna get a
That's on Peacekeeper
36?
2. You have to get to Peacekeeper 2. So but that's only level 14 with no rep. So you can get G36 easy.
Okay.
And they give you some for the quest too. So you don't even need to necessarily do that. Balancing part 1, yes.
This
It's
is
only for
part
you being a packer.
2.
That's easy. Oh yeah, balancing 2, yeah. That one's super easy.
Hmm.
This one's hard. This is the one that's annoying. So you can craft all of these plates, but you can't craft the Karun VM plate. And you have to get it
Yeah.
off like a Kaban guard or a Kolontai guard, or get them in Kibba.
Hmm.
That's actually kind of annoying. So I don't think you're going to be able to just like rush through these ref quest lines. Like that did take me a little bit of doing. You have to
Yeah.
find a Karund on one of the guards to do that one, or a Bagari, one or the other.
Yeah. That one's
Kind of
definitely gonna
annoying.
be. These are a lot of quests though, and you're not getting. Let's see.
You're not getting anything
That
for the
one.
other people.
This one gives you. Oh, so you do get some. So hang on.
You get some.
Now I'm just
Now you're
curious.
intrigued.
We've gone down the rabbit hole again. Okay, so this is for skier. So this one gives you no. This one just unlocks rep.
Yeah.
Okay. So easy money part 2 gives you 0.3. So, okay, now I gotta ask another question. Do you, because you're EOD, do you get bonus rep with rep?
Correct.
You do?
Yes. You get 0.2.
Oh, so you just got hit level 15 and then you have ref
What was
2.
his requirement? Was it 25?
Ref 2 is 15. I think it was like 15, 25.
Oh, that's sorry, not a trader rep. Was it 0.25?
Oh, 0.25. Okay.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah, I
fine. That's
see.
only 2 quests. That's EOD plus 2
Dang.
quests. EOD is a big boost again.
It's a big
as
boost.
always.
Okay.
As always, pay to win.
Hang on a minute. So you'd have to do balancing part 1 and balancing part 2, which is G36 for part 1, and then AKS74, you and Paka for the other. That would get you, with EOD, you'd be at 0.6 or 0.26.
Wait, did the other one not give you? What was the one before balancing? Easy. What was easy money 2? Did that one give you rep?
Oh, it did give you rep. My mistake.
So you just have to do that one and then balancing part 1.
Yeah, the beard's gonna be tricky, but if you could do it, in theory,
then you get level 2 ref. Sorry.
Yeah.
Even I'm getting confused now.
What does that get
and
you?
And then you can get these random things.
I mean, as far as hideout items go, not so great. Cases are kind of nice, I guess. Like a med case for 60 coins, it sounds pretty reasonable. Grenade case for 52.
It's not actually that crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to quantify it, but it doesn't seem that, like, even this SR25, like, which by the way looks really cool. Shout out to the person whoever assembled that. Like, this thing looks really cool. But like, what are you gonna put in it?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know, it's like
DCPFMJ, you probably don't even be able to get that, you know.
Yeah.
TCW.
TCW probably, yeah. So it's like
SR25 looks cool, but it would end up on my YouTube channel if I found it on a player.
Oh no, not the YouTube channel. I mean, the shotgun's cool. Early wipe, I guess. I don't know. The armor is probably like the most valuable thing. The Anna tactical M2 or M1 rig. I'm not sure which one that is.
That one's the 2, I think.
Is it?
That's plus 3 under, which is nice.
And there's this newish one they added. The what is it, like
OTV
ceramic?
Interceptor ceramic, yeah. Again, it's class 4. Let's go class 2 underneath. I wonder like how good class 4 plus 3 is. Like these are all the questions that I'm going to have to start thinking about for next wipe. It's like depending on where they put the ammo, like how they change it. It's like what's actually, you know, is 4 plus 3 like insane? Probably is against stuff like PS. You know, PS is like quite good, right, as a bullet, like 762 PS. But against 4 plus 3, it's like you ain't getting through that. I don't think. Like 35 pen is like okay against class 4, but once it's gone through the class 4, it's like 25 pen.
Yeah,
so
they're gonna
then it won't
gonna
get through the
eat.
class 3 either.
They're gonna eat a bit.
Yeah.
Someone brought up a good comment or a good
Hmm.
point in your chat. Do the dailies like don't refs dailies give you rep?
They do. So as you're getting GP coins, you'll get some rep from that as well.
You're basically gonna be.
I wonder how much.
You don't even have to. You would just have to do Easy Money Part 1, and then some dailies. So
If you're on
the
EAD.
theoretical, hypothetical, path to Tarkov, I'm cooking up in my head that I'm not gonna do. But for funsies, you do. The prerequisites for Easy Money Part 1, which is burning rubber. Then you do Money Part 1, which is very easy. You just at least turn in something, you go to the USEC camp. Great, you can grab Jaeger letter on the way there. Okay, you done that. You gotta do Easy Money Part 2. Or no, you don't have to do that. You just do Part 1 because you just need to unlock ref. Then you log off. You go boot up Arena, play for 8 hours or however long to get you level 15. Do a few dailies, boom, bada bing. Now you come back, you got flea market unlocked, you got ref level 2 unlocked. You start liquidating your GP coins in the hideout items. You sell on the flea, you flip it up there. You make as much bank as you want to doing scav or PMC until you're finally like, you know what? I think I'm ready to play the game. And then you play the game. 3 weeks in, I have 60 million in a hideout full of GP graphics cards. I think I'm ready to start playing, you guys.
Yeah, it sounds about right. I'm just checking in on my dailies here today. So I can get 1 rep plus 0.01 for doing both of the dailies that I have here.
Mm-hmm.
And what was this one? Yeah, so they were all 0.1, the ones I had, and my weekly is 0.02. So if you completed all 3 and the weekly, you could get 0.05 on the very first day, I think. I don't know whether you get the day. Do you need to? I can't remember. I actually don't know whether you need to reach a certain level to get the dailies. Because I know in Tarkov you need to reach level 5, don't you? To get dailies, and maybe level. What, do you need this? Is it the same for weeklies? I can't remember. Was it 10 for weeklies? I actually can't remember now.
I don't remember the requirements. I think they're for dailies, it's kind of low, like 5 or something.
I'm pretty sure that's 5. Yeah, I'm almost certain. But then weeklies, I don't remember whether you get them straight away.
I think it's like 15. I want to say. I think they are locked.
Weekly tasks. Oh yeah, it is 15. You're right.
Okay.
You're right. Okay, so it's quite a lot higher. So you only get the weekly task getting to the level that you wanted to be at. So you'd have to do the weekly then. So you wouldn't be able to do it on day 1 without doing the weekly. Unless you got lucky and there was some with 0.02. I'm not sure if they can do that because I know some of the main ones, but
there's a chance. I mean, there's a chance it may or may not have a prerequisite in Arena. I would like to think it would, and if it doesn't, it probably ought to for balancing reasons. I think. I don't know. But this is an interesting theory, an interesting cook. Is it actually viable? Is it actually good? Is probably the better question. I'm not so sure. I mean, if you really value money in Tarkov, I think this is a pretty good prospect because you are essentially trading mainly trader rep essentially for the various traders, because you can presumably get good EXP still. You're leveling up your soft skills, and in the process you're kind of mining out this currency that can only be converted into rubles but not vice versa. Yeah. It's very, very interesting. I can't wait to see what people end up doing and what the norm becomes.
Yeah, I think that the deal really is the early 15 to let you sell stuff at a premium. I don't know. It's hard to quantify right now just from theory crafting whether getting there early with less items is worth sacrificing getting there later but with more items. Because my stash is full of stuff when I get to the Flea normally.
Oh yeah.
And since then I've paid for extra slots and got my
Right.
2 slots from the event. So I got even more space than I ever used to.
You've
So
been
I don't
scammed. You didn't
know.
need the slots the whole time. You just have to wait for Arena Trader to get implemented.
Yeah, I don't know what is optimal in terms of cash.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably still gonna, because I prioritize the hideout quite a lot, and I like having it up early because I feel like it pays for itself, even if it's expensive to do at the time. It's a weird balance. It's like, yeah, do you sell at the beginning? But like, when do you stop? When do you stop selling and start buying? When it levels out a bit. But that, you could
And
then be
you did.
behind on progression, and then you can't sell
Oh,
people
when
wires
he's
and
behind, yeah.
hoses and stuff. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Kind of hard
yeah.
because
You
you want
kind
to
of gotta
ride that
set
wave
your own.
early. I don't know. I guess you just, if you play enough, you can just do a combination and just beat everybody else because you're playing more. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, it's a time thing. But yeah, the efficient thing, I don't actually know. It's very hard to know which is better because you're sacrificing one thing for another. As you said, money versus quicker levels versus trader rep, right? But you
Mm-hmm.
need levels and you need trader rep and money
Mm-hmm.
spent. You need money spent as well. If you're playing arena, you're getting
Yes.
no money
Yep.
spent with the traders.
Yep.
And some of the traders are
Absolutely.
annoying. Skier in particular is a pain to get money spent on because he doesn't have anything useful. It's easy with therapist or whatever because you're buying healing items. Mechanic usually pretty easy. Maybe not necessarily straight away. Peacekeeper can be annoying, but I usually focus on him a bit. You can buy some stuff that's okay from him and like actually use it, like MP5s. But yeah, you're not spending any money on the traders at all. So out of the 3 requirements, trader rep, cash spent, and XP for levels, you're only getting one of the 3 with arena. But then you're sort of able to bypass the gear maybe if you can do like some of the dailies or whatever. But you can buy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think doing it normally is probably going to be optimal because you're just going to have so many more items. That's my feeling about it. You're going to be able to get started on the hideout earlier. Well, as you progress, you're going to be able to level the traders up. You're going to start crafting stuff. And then when you get to the flea market, you're going to have like just tons of items to sell.
Mm-hmm.
You know what though? Maybe you'd be better off with. Actually, this doesn't really make sense. I was going to say, because you're better off playing arena if you have a smaller stash. But if you're a standard player, you don't have arena.
Well, I was gonna say if you're in the rare, the 2%, maybe less than 2% people that have Arena and also have a standard account,
Hmm,
this probably would be worth it.
maybe.
Just because, like, you're not, you're gonna. I would say stop as soon as you hit 15. And then what you do now is you can play the regular game. You could maybe you play Arena to get some GP coins enough to buy the key tool, because that'd be really nice for like alpha
Hmm,
containers. Like
yeah,
having that in there would be very helpful. I'd say that's like a very nice thing.
dude.
Um,
There's so many things that are different about this next wipe. Like Shabatari in chat has just put in something that I hadn't even thought about, where they've said with flea market flipping, getting trader money spent, it's going to be so easy. Buy a headset from Skier, resell them for 1 ruble less than him on the flea.
there's no way they're gonna keep that in. I keep forgetting that this is like a thing now.
But like lots of people are going to do that, so maybe gear is
Oh
just going to
yeah.
be like really cheap.
Oh, this is so weird too because everything has a personal limit now. So like
Yes.
there's a supply constraint dependent on everyone's personal limit that are
Yes.
flipping on the flea market.
Yes.
What is this game, Giga? My brain can't handle it.
Dude, I love it. I feel like, it's all the gifts with all those equations coming past. That's how I feel right now. It's like there's so many changes. This game is so different.
It really is. All right,
This
we're
next
gonna
fight.
just flip this switch from on to off. It's like the entire universe just like folds upon itself.
Okay, given we're talking about restrictions, changes, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the big topic that we wanted to get around to next time.
Mm-hmm.
Or this time, last time, before we spend too much more time like looking at the GP to ruble ratio.
Great.
And it's relevant to this conversation too, right? Which is whether weapons should be unbanned from the fleet. What's banned on the fleet right now? Things like the SR-25, the RSAS, the Black MDR, like the PKM and the PKP, the RD, the Mutant. What else? Basically, all of the stuff that is was deemed good. Yeah, the 338 Mjolnir. and
Yes.
the AXMC. Can't get
Yes.
those. Yeah, the grenade launcher.
Oh yeah, I
Not
guess.
the TOS.
Well, the KS-23 TOS, right?
KS-23 TOS is actually. That's true. That's true.
I don't know
So
if that's good.
there's a lot of either good weapons or controversial weapons that are banned from the flea market, and that made sense previously. And yeah, somebody brought it up to me in chat and said, like, do you think like we should unban the weapons from the flea? My gut instinct was just like, no, why would we? And I thought about it a little bit harder and was like, I don't know actually, because I was like, I don't know if I really have a good reason anymore. Like, it's sort of we've come to this point where it made sense, but now we need to sort of revisit it based on the new premise of the game, right? Like, as we've just been talking about, the game is so crazily interlinked, right? Meeting Caban and failing your quest in a random building on streets because of the reward from another quest, like just the interactions within the game you wouldn't think are possible from the surface level make it just so crazy. So let's just start this off. I had an interesting conversation with a few people. This one was with Deep Space on my stream.
Okay.
And I kind of agreed with this take because I was like still trying to like make my mind up. I agreed with this take was that the complication of the weapons on the flea market kind of depends on the gun. The argument goes, and I actually think so. So let's think about the spear. The spear is very unusual because the spear is not banned. It's one of the only like meta guns that is not banned on the flea. It makes it very unusual. The reason why that was fine was because to buy it from the traders was like super, super, super high level Lightkeeper. So nobody was able to really get it. And the only source of this weapon was marked rooms. So it was really expensive. It was like, yeah, as I said, 500, 600,000 rubles. So you could buy it on the flea, but it was really pricey, which I sort of didn't mind in some ways. Then they removed Find and Raid, and now you can sell the player's spear that you get on the flea market. So now they're a lot cheaper. They're like 200k. It's kind of like, it's still more expensive. That's like, the starter gun is like 200k, and then you have to mod it. But it's not as bad as it used to be, and it's sort of in line with the other meta weapons, right? It's like it's not that bad. You could probably mod out the whole thing for 500k, which is not actually that different to a meta M4. So the question is like, why is the spear like kind of okay? Well, the argument goes that the spear uses the SIG ammo, the SIG FMJ, and the SIG hybrid. And the reason why it's balanced is because it's the only gun that fires SIG hybrid, which is a really good bullet, but that's locked at Peacekeeper 4. So you can buy the spear, but you can't really do anything with it until Peacekeeper 4. So the spear is like technically locked to Peacekeeper 4, really, even though it's available on the flea, because you can't buy the ammo. You can only buy FMJ at level 3, and with FMJ, it's like kind of underwhelming, I would say. I think there are other guns that are better. It's only when you get hybrid that it really unlocks its full potential, and at that stage, you're at Peacekeeper 4, so it's kind of okay. This is also the same with other guns like the MP7. You don't see the MP7 early because the MP7 itself is purchasable, but the problem is you can't get the bigger mags. You're stuck with the 20s until like Mechanic 3 or something. You can't buy FMJ until Mechanic 4, and so the ammo's not very good and the mags are not very good. So the gun itself is not really the problem. It's like what you can do with the gun that ends up making it an issue. So let's like switch tact. Those two guns are actually fine. Let's switch tact over onto a different set of weapons, the 7.62x51 NATO guns. This is where the issue is. So if you unlocked the Black MDR, because the Black MDR shares its ammo with all of the guns that you've got on screen, there was at least some of them, the RFB, the G28, the SA58, the Scar H, the Hunter, technically. Not that I really see them anymore, but technically the Hunter.
Sure.
You then have a problem. You have an issue there with ammo and weapon availability because it's now like a combination. It's not just like 1-to-1. Ammo to gun, you lock the ammo, all is good. You could get M80 at Peacekeeper 3 technically. And if you unlock the MDR on the flea, then people can just like skip the progression of the RFB, the SR, whatever it is, right? At Peacekeeper 2, Peacekeeper 3, those kind of levels, and jump straight to the Black MDR and not worry about any of that stuff. So the Black MDR kind of still needs to stay banned because otherwise it just short circuits the progression within the caliber because it shares the bullet with a lot of other guns. That was the argument, and I kind of agree.
Okay, I think I'm tracking, because if they were to remove the weapon bans, then the problem then becomes, because right now we're in a situation where the optimal weapons are gate kept by the best ammo, in a sense, kind of, but not really. Like,
Yeah, kind of.
The M4 is great, but if you're using SOT or whatever, some junk round, and it's just not great. But once you can put like 55A1, it's like very good, right? So like its power level is like kind of capped, and then it's also like you got to mod it a lot, right? Whereas if they changed it to where, only ammos get kept, then it's like, well, why not I just use the HK? Because then buy it from the Flea, it's not locked. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a bad example, but your example is much better with the MDR. So yeah, I mean, I think I'm tracking.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea, and we've sort of ended up in this situation with the Flea bans just naturally, right? Stuff has kind of got a bit crazy. It's the same thing with the RD and the mutant. I think the RD and the mutant. I actually do think that this is fine. I think the RD and the mutant should stay banned because yeah, people don't like them right now, but they are the best in that particular category, and they fire the same
Right.
bullets as the AKM, the AK-103, all of those type of guns. And so, like the SKS, and you can buy those. And so you need to get to the high, like you can fire the ammo, but you have to use a worse gun. Whereas, yeah, even the RPD is banned off the Flea. So, you have to get to that trader level of progression to use the gun that is better. And that's not an issue for the ammos weapons where the ammo and the weapon are 1-to-1, like the MP7 and the spear. And so that's why I feel that like the Flea ban system actually is fine and is working right now. I don't know whether like the 338 guns, whether they need to be banned. Probably the you could probably they're a large caliber, so they're probably fine, right? They're like special, aren't they? XMC Bolty is like it's a special thing to unlock because it's such a huge caliber. Well, I will say though that the XMC is like really fallen off now because of the way that the layered armor is that we talked about last time. It's just like nowhere near as good. So, but like it's still a special thing to unlock if you want it. But like the APE is just like impossible to get hold of, so kind of makes it a bit pointless. But yeah, I can't really think of any guns now like using that sort of metric and that filter that I would want to be unbanned that are currently banned, or I would like to ban that aren't currently banned. Like I don't really know. Like yeah, on to be fair, on that basis, like because you're just looking through the 9x39 guns now, like you could ban the Val, for example. Like I don't think that would necessarily be. It's not really a problematic cartridge right now. I don't think, because the ammo is just really hard to get to in general.
Yeah.
At
least
but
the good stuff.
You could do like in theory, you could do something if you wanted to rebalance like 9x39. You could in theory ban the VSS and the Val, keep the VSK, and then pull the ammo lower or something. Maybe because the VSK would then be kind of bad. But then you've got like better ammo for it because the ammo is like really hard to get right now. Like somebody was saying the other day to me, just like, oh, just use the VSS. Like I'm sure that shreds with SP6. I'm like, dude, you got to do capturing outposts. No way, I've got that quest done. Like they made it a lot easier. You don't have to go to pier anymore. You just do it in the resort. But even still, I'm not sitting around in the woods med camp waiting for people to come over. Like it's just not what I'm going to do. So I don't know. Yeah, like it's hard to think. Like hard to think of anything that I would like to be banned that is not already. I feel like the system maybe does work on that basis. No, it's interesting.
No,
It is interesting.
It is interesting because, like, really, the most of the bands seem to be. It's kind of a mixed bag because it's like it feels like it's products of previous eras of Tarkov, which I think it absolutely is. But it's like super interesting that the SIG isn't banned. You know what I mean? Like, because that feels like the rule should follow in a sense, but in some cases the rule doesn't follow at all. Like the Vector or the Val, like the Vector 45 or the Val VSS, they're probably like the best, like the highest pinnacle of that caliber weapon that you could get. yet they're not
Yeah.
banned, whereas the mutant and RD are. Why is that so? I would say it's largely because of how the guns worked in the old, like they were just like
Yeah.
extremely good before the recoil got changed, and and even like the that's so weird. Like the SC58 isn't banned, but like the Scar is, and the you know what I mean. It's like, is the SC58 really that like trash?
I mean, I would argue there that you could probably unban the Scar Age out of all of those.
Oh
Like
yeah.
the way that it works, right? The way that it works is like the flow chart goes. Was this gun meta at some point when the free ban system came in?
Oh no, he's saying that.
If if so, if it was, is it the only is it the only gun in the game that takes a particular cartridge? If it isn't, then it's banned. That's basically how it goes, right? It's like,
More or
does it
less.
share bullets and was it meta? If
Yeah.
so, it gets banned. The spear is meta, but it doesn't share cartridge, so it's not banned. The MP7 was really good, but it doesn't share cartridge, so it's not banned. The Val was meta, but it was before the flea restrictions came in, and so it's not in scope. You know, it's like it has to have been like after the flea ban situation came through, and that's why I think the Scar H, like the Scar H, has never been like meta. It's been okay, but lots of people really hate the gun. So you could put the Scar H on the flea, and I think that would maybe be okay. But again, like I don't know, people would choose that over the RFB. Like it's got full auto on it, so it probably does need to stay where it is.
Yeah.
Um,
I almost I almost dare feel like we should go in the opposite direction, which would be no weapons on the flea at all. And the reason I say that is because you could make, I mean, I don't know if this would be a good thing, but just to like tickle the brain, this would make the progression more, like like it would have to be linear in that you have to go from like an M4 AUG to a G36 or a SA58 or a Scar L, M14, and that's on level 2 Peacekeeper. And then level 3 you get some more stuff, Scars, RSS, whatever, G28, and then 4 you can finally get like more RSSs. And but my point is, like, it follows up a linear path, and it's
yeah,
not like here are all the options, okay, which one's the best, like, because one problem I have with Tarkov and just how the economy functions, or a function of the player base's economy, whatever, is that it just feels like the gaps aren't that big for gear. Like, it's like, and I guess that makes sense because gear is like temporary. um Whereas, like a hideout upgrade's permanent, but it's just like the difference in price you pay often doesn't feel like it's that big of a gap to really make me choose between, you know what I mean? It's like, my choice in caliber, like if we look at the M80, for example, just for example's sake, uh and I want a 308 weapon, right? It's like you got all the bolt actions. Well, I don't want a bolt action, so I want something that's like fully auto. Or maybe you want something that's like semi-auto, right? And it's like, oh, okay. I mean, here's this like Vepr Hunter 22K on the flea market. It's brand new condition. Um, and then it's like, what's probably like the best semi-auto? SR25 maybe?
either that or the RSS, but probably SR25 these days, I would say.
Yeah, I guess this is a good example because the SR25 is at a fixed price. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
like in this case, it does make the the hunter appealing because the prices are pretty different. I mean, I don't even know what the math is on 924 rubles.
It's like 1.3 or something. I can't remember exactly
I mean,
right
that,
now. It's
yeah,
like 130 or so. But yeah, it's like that's like 130k,
yeah, that's like
very roughly.
like what, 1 to 5 ratio, like that to me, like that fits. Like the balance
Yeah.
there is like much better. Whereas like some of these, like I guess like 5.56 guns and whatnot, it's like the difference between X, Y, and Z, or even like the
Or like an
AKs.
ADAR versus an M4 is like not big enough that
Yeah,
you're going to pick full auto every time.
right, exactly. And I don't know if it's like the ADAR needs to be cheaper or the M4 needs to be higher, whatever the case may
Hmm.
be. But just as a general sense, it's like feels like some of the times the gaps aren't that big enough. I'm just gonna choose, for an extra 35,000 rubles or whatever it may be, I'm
Hmm.
getting the best gun, quote unquote. sure, why not? What is
Yeah.
this really gonna, it's just it feels like it's not enough money for me to really care, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky as well, isn't it? Because like it depends on where you are in the wipe too. Because if you're
oh, for
early, you're like, oh,
sure.
trying to scrimp and save, and you're like, oh, does it matter really going from one to the next? Like, do I even want to spend the extra money when I already have all the features? Like going from something like the ADAR to the M4 is like obvious, but if you're going between the G36, the AUG, the
Mm-hmm.
MDR, and the
Mm-hmm.
M4, you're kind of like, well, they're kind of the same. So I'll sort of pick obviously they're different, but I'm going to just pick the cheap one because I'm like allocating resources. And then you get to the point where it's like, well, the hideout's finished and I'm starting to make some money. And then it's like, right, now I don't need to scrimp on anything. I'm just going to buy the best thing, even if it's 3 times the price.
It's
Doesn't
true.
matter anymore. And it's like
Yep.
that regime changes from like full optimization to I just going to buy the best thing. And that's where you end up with, the one extra ergo attachment going for 3 times the price and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. I think like what's interesting about this is that because I was thinking about the progression and like whether it short circuits the progression for having these things
Mm-hmm.
unbanned, but I feel that if the trader flipping thing gets fixed, then you probably could unban them and the market would price them appropriately because you could
Mm-hmm.
resell player gear but not trader gear in that circumstance if they do fix
Mm-hmm.
that. So like a black MDR, you would be able to buy it off the flea, but it would have to come from a player who was killed and then it was resold. So there would be supply, but not that much. And the thing still, before lots of people can buy them, they should go for higher than the trader price because a lot of people have them locked. And so when you do get one, it's quite valuable to you. You don't necessarily want to get rid of it. So I feel like that might actually still be fine. Like it might be self-regulating in that way. I feel like the supply might not be high or too high to break it. So the RFB and those kind of guns would still be cheap, like 30, 40K, but then the Black MDR might be pretty expensive early, especially like everybody will want to use it with M80. So you can get that at Peacekeeper 3, then, it might make a big difference. I think that could be one way of fixing it, just through the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't really
I
know.
I feel similarly. I think, yeah. I think
Yeah,
with the
because
market way, it gives more options for players. Like if you want to risk it all and a slightly better gun, so to speak, there's that.
yeah,
Or if you just want to do something more cheaper, it's a give and take. It's hard to say, but I do think in general the bans have been a good thing for the sense of progression because there was that one wipe not too long ago which basically led to the bans of M80. Well, not yeah, M80 on the Flea and the like SR25 where like it's like you hit 15, you bought SR25 and like M80s and you were just like a god. Well, what was it like? Peacekeeper 2 you could get M80s. It was something
you used
like
to be able to buy,
absurd.
you used to be able to buy it at
Yeah.
Peacekeeper 2, and you just ruin everybody because nobody could buy Class 5 armor, and you just destroy everyone. It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was crazy. Yeah,
So
you get like RFB from Skier 2 and then Peacekeeper 2 for M80, and you just start wrecking faces. It was mad.
yeah. So like in terms of like value, I would rank armor like number 1 because to beat armor you have to have good ammo and I don't know, just the prospect of like running good ammo. I don't know, maybe ammo is actually better at number 1. But then it's like ammo high pin ammo is only good if like not only good, but you lose value. You know what I mean? There's like an economical cost. Like, oh, I killed Timmy with a P.A.K.A. with my extremely valuable. Like, it's a waste. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, if I have a
Yeah.
class 6 plate, it's really never a waste because it's always gonna absorb damage. I mean, like the
Hmm.
one rare case is when they shoot you with like a slug that has like 0 pin or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like it's in your plate's class 6 ceramic. Like it's taking a fair amount of
Yeah.
damage in that sense, but otherwise at the end of the day it's saving your life, so like can you really complain? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I feel like armor for me is like up there in terms of value, then it's like ammo, and then it's like the weapon you're shooting it out of.
Yeah.
And we've seen this like way back in the
I think
day
so.
where people used to run Vepr hunters with M61s in it in like a 5-round mag. It's like the Chad Slayer.
Yeah, exactly. It was like Mosin Man,
Yeah.
M61 Hunter, like the game. And this is the problem, right? If you unrestrict all of the things, the game just devolves into the lowest common denominator of what will kill people. And a lot of people really like, as we saw from the polls, people either don't care about the new armor system and they're just playing anyway, or they think the new armor system is really good. Like when the time to kill was super short, it just sucked and felt bad. And fights feel really, really fun now. It's just good, right? Whereas going back to, as chat's talking about, the M61 Hunter days, like you just get deleted by somebody who spent almost nothing on their kit, right? Somebody could come in with 5 rounds of M61 and a Hunter, and like, yeah, that's a valid way to play, but it just ends up devolving the whole game down to that. Like it means that armor feels useless again. It means that progression is pointless. Like anybody can technically compete, but you've got this like small minority of very experienced players that are dominating everybody. You have experienced players who are wealthy who feel like their gear and their progression meant nothing. And then you've got all the Timmies who won't buy M61 anyway because they don't know how to use it properly, who are just getting destroyed by M61 every raid by everybody else. And so it just ends up in this like horrible situation where the early wipe, there's like no early wipe at all because everything's freely unrestricted. Like people literally just used to go in, farm labs, and sell Gen 4s on the Flea.
Yeah.
And you buy, I completed Stir at one time with, I think I did it with an Altin and a Gen 4 full, I think, at like level 6 or something. Like it's just crazy. Like if you go back in the day on the Reddit, people are just like, "Oh, why are you not using BP? It's 8 days after wipe," and stuff like this. Right? We've come so far, and one of the people's favorite thing about the game is the early wipe. So that's like my biggest counter to people who want to unrestrict everything is like we've been there and people hated it. We've already done this. We've done this in the past. The restrictions came in for a reason, and it was because people hated the way the early wipe just disappeared. Once you've run, once you've got M61 and you've like killed somebody with M61 a few times, it's like there's nowhere to go. Like you don't want to put on the good gear because someone's just going to M61 you with a Hunter. Like there's no point to the game. The game has no point.
It becomes
anymore.
very binary. It's like, do I want to kill Chads? Like people wearing armor? Yes. I buy the best ammo and I run the cheapest kit. Do I want to be the Chad that's risking it all for, whatever? Yes, I buy the best everything. It's like there's really no middle ground. It's like either on or off. Do you want to win or do you want to lose? I don't know. Very weird.
And and it skews the risk reward, right? It's like you risk nothing really to gain it all, but then it's like the ability to do that kind of ruins it for other people. So that's why it ended up getting restricted. It's exactly the same thing as the Mosin man. Literally boomstick with a bullet in it. That's the reason why they increased their HP health from 80 to 85.
Yeah.
Because that was also just dreadful for the game. Like most players running, like if you give most people a cheap, almost risk-free option to like kill people who are like super geared and wearing endgame stuff, they will take it if they're given that option. So you end up with like 75% of raids filled with people running the min-max combo, trying to make it big, going like nearly 0 to hero with a couple of bullets of whatever PS or SMB or whatever it was, and killing people. It's just like I don't think it's good. I think we've been there before. I think people hated it. Like Tarkov's got so many changes, but most of these things are for good reason. Like some stuff. I feel like some of these things we can look back on and say, okay, like finding raid. That was not necessarily good. Like we understood why, but even at the time when it came in, a lot of us were like, I don't really like finding raid. I see why they did it, but I don't really like it. And now we're in a situation where we're finally dealing with it, right? Whereas like when the 80 HP went up to 85 on the Thorax, I think everybody was just like, thank God. And then nobody ever looked at it ever again, right? And there's a reason why, because it was hateful.
Yeah, I would say probably on average most people are satisfied with like the changes as a whole. I mean, I do think there definitely is something lost. Like I can totally see how it would be very fun and exciting to take in this, like basically it's almost like the rat and Chad are like yin and yang. Like they both live with it's like one, they have to like coexist, and if like one goes away, then it's like the whole thing's ruined because like who's the Chad gonna complain about and who's the rat gonna rat, you know what I mean? It's like they need each other because like the rat threatens the Chad, but the Chad threatens the rat. It's just, I don't know. It's such a weird dynamic. But anyways, it's like you're the guy with the Hunter and M61, and it's like killing the guy and like getting out the gear as like a player, like that is those moments. Like we have those like core memories of Tarkov where it's like I remember that my first raid I killed Giga Chad and he had this decked out M4. It turned out it was like a garbage M4 featured on YouTube on Giga's channel. How to fix this M4. But you know what I mean? So I do feel like there is something I can see why people would feel like they're kind of like getting cut out, because I do see there is something very exciting and rewarding about sort of like taking out the alpha predator, you know, and then you get to like you get to reap the rewards of it, you know. I get it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like you said it, like everyone has that like core memory, or whatever. Like I immediately can think of when the one time when I was little Timmy on customs and I had a Mosin and I killed a guy over the bridge. He was like full like airframes, like proper like back in the day, you know, full like Chad loadout with the big M4. I was like, you know, by the train cars, you know, coming away from Big Red. You get to the bridge and he was like jumping over the barricades the other side and managed to like head tap him with the Mosin from across the bridge. Go over and the guy's got like, you know, you like this doesn't even happen anymore because they've changed the game so much. Like you open up the guy's kit, like you don't like half of the items in there you've never even seen.
Oh yeah, that was a great part too. Yeah, I remember that.
You open up the gun and it's like you've never seen the mag before, like the sight you've never seen, his armor you've never seen it. You're just like, what is going on? You're like losing your mind.
Yeah.
Like
you don't know what it is, but you know it's good. You want it.
Yeah. Exactly. So and this is the thing, it's a balance, right? It's like it's a real hard balance between those moments and not making those moments feel impossible for people who are undergeared, but not making the game such that like that's the meta of the way that people want to play to be like effective. I think that's the thing. You need to keep it open, and that's hard. It's really, really hard. And it's like it's always a bit like the armor system is now. That's why I feel that maybe we've swung a bit too far. You know, I've got multiple people coming into my chat. There's actually quite a lot of new players coming in at the moment. It's just anecdotal from what I'm seeing in my chat. There's quite a few new guys who are trying to play the game right now. I don't know whether it's like, you know, all the unheard dramas like that's settled away and people are just like remembering the game. You know, all publicity is good publicity kind of thing. And people are going, oh, maybe I should try that game out, whatever. Now that the drama's settled down and people seem to be happy. And people are coming in though and saying like, you know, I'm level 23. Like, what ammo should I be using against people? Against like, you know, I'm just getting killed by people who've got all the stuff. Because I'm like, look, man, you're like, it's late wipe. You know, you're 6 months into a wipe.
Right.
People have got good stuff, and I don't really have a good answer for you anymore. You're going to have to either go for like leg meta, which is hard against people who are better than you, have better gear than you, like shoot. We've talked about this last time. They kill you in 2 shots to the chest because you're wearing complete trash armor, and you have to hit them like 7 times with a Kedda, or you have to hit them, you know, 3 or 4 times with Magnum buckshot. You have to make sure the legs actually, you know, you hit them, and you have to be so close. You have to play it right, and you have to be accurate, like against somebody who's like knows the game probably pretty well. And then outside of that, it's like you got to pick something with low recoil to shoot them in the face. Like you're not getting through anymore. With at level 20, you just aren't getting through anymore. Like the only way that you're going to do that is maybe with something like LPS. But even then, like a Mosin with LPS, you're just not going to win. You're just not going to win. You have to shoot them like 5 times. If someone's wearing a class 6 armor with a class 3 plate behind, LPS is not going to do anything. You have to shoot them like 5 times with the Mosin in the chest. You have to hit them in the head, or you leg meta. Like that's it, right? It was like it was two the other way before, and now it's like too far the other way. Like it's so hard balancing that thing between the two, and it's a compromise because the more you give to one side, the less you give to the other. It's literally like it's a 0-sum game, right? If one if the Chads start, you know, getting benefit, then that harms the Timmies and whatnot. But it's hard. It's hard. Like Tarkov swung back and forth on this for years.
Oh yeah,
for years. So
yeah, it's interesting. I'm not even sure what. Like just trying to think like what you could do. I mean, I'm sure there's like unheard ramifications, but just the thought that came to mind is like,
no pun intended.
Yeah, no pun. Good one. Oh god, I gotta change the words. Yeah, the thought that came to mind was, well, maybe because right now it sounds like the problem is in that scenario is the player who's at a disadvantage has to deal with a lot of disadvantages. You know, it's like just shoot him in the leg, bro, 7 times in the exact same leg while GigaChad is running and sprinting around the corner, bunny hopping. It's like just shoot him in the head with your low recoil gun and SP8. And yeah, hopefully he's not wearing a face shield or some crazy ballistic helmet with magical class 3, 4 deflective properties. It's like
Yeah.
it's really hard, and it's like just learn the game, just get good, just know all the infinite amounts of knowledge that's located on the wiki and not on the wiki. Just there's a lot to it. So I felt like maybe the problem now is like the armor, because the armor has gotten like so much better, and the like the way the ammo set up is like GigaChad kind of doesn't really need the ammo. He, like the S tier ammo, let's say.
Yeah.
But it's available to him because he's done all the work, let's say, and he can craft it, so he can only get so much. So it's almost like it's a bit like I wanted to mention this earlier, and I'll just be brief. Is the M61 quest, or yeah, where you gotta like collect what's like 10, 50,
like 20 dog tags, level 50 on both USEC and Bear.
Which is interesting because it's gate kept by other players at high levels. So it's like you can't actually do any. You actually are better off. If you're level 50, you're better off dying and feeding XP to other players so they can get to level 50 so you can then kill them to trade dot tags. I mean? It's like this. But it's actually a very interesting, whether it's intentional or not, it's just very interesting how that dynamic is, because it's like you're dependent not on your progress but other people, and also randomly encountering them and killing, like winning. Like it's very 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 gate kept, which is probably a good thing because that round is really good. But if they were to do a similar idea with like class 6 armor, for example, maybe like hypothetically 6 is like not on the traders, it's only Kiba, maybe labs, crates, and bosses or something, then it's like, well, suddenly GigaChad's there's a lot less of those like fully decked out S tier. Maybe you could craft it even. It's like a late game,
like the bad one, right? Like that's the thing. You could craft one that's like the lowest ceramic one or something.
Sure, and you gotta like
the one you get in the TTSK.
Some crazy, level 50 quest chain, whatever. Fine, but whatever with the the abundance of gag plates is a problem. But anyways, just bringing the power level down just a little bit to where it's not like we're deleting this item from the game. It's more like, no, we're making this like a lot more rare because it is so advantageous.
Yeah,
and I do think it's tough on those players.
We've been talking a lot on the stream about armor and armor balance, and I raided Jesse the other day, and he was talking about it. He was just like, "Hey, what are your thoughts on this?" Like, we had a quick chat when I raided him. Like, he might be doing a video about it, about like armor balance or whatever. And it's like, it's partly because I started my stream off just basically being like, is this barter ruining the game? The cult termite from Ragman. It was only added in May. So it was only added last month. Like, it wasn't there to begin with. But it's like the second best plate in the whole game. And you can get 2 per reset from Ragman. So people just like, they're everywhere, right? It's crazy. And that's the thing. If it's going to be on the traders, it needs to be like the worst one, in my opinion. It's like the problem with the gag plate. You should be able to craft class 5, sure, but like craft the crappy one. Like, no one's going to use the bad one if the good one is craftable. You should have to find the good stuff in raid. And the fact that they added them to Kiba is awesome. That's really good. And I found a bunch of classic armors when I went to Kiba, and that's great. You get a random assortment. You have to go and turn on power. You have to use 2 keys. You have to go into the middle of the thing. You have to loot the stuff, maybe turn off the alarm beforehand, and then get out either safe room or whatever. Like, it's not easy to do. So why would you do that when you can just sell a bunch of random scav junk and buy cult termites in your stash when you get to Ragman 4? Like, it short circuits the game and makes it bad. Like, yeah, if you can get like ESAPI 4s and you can craft those or get them from the trader, then fine. But the good stuff is in raid. So it's like, okay, I actually, I want to be kitted out. So let's go do a few Kiba runs to go and get my stuff. It like gives you something to do late wipe. Like, whereas if you can if you can only get, and we've talked about this millions of times, if you can get only to 80% of the way up to being like meta in the stash, that gives you automatic player-driven goals to go and like get things. And the fact that it's like in a specific place, like having it just be like, oh, I don't have the best attachments in the game, but there's nowhere to get them other than just randomly in any weapons crate in the game. It doesn't focus you enough to do the things that you need to do. Whereas being like, I want to get a class 6 plate, it's in Kiba, I know it is, but they spawn there. But it could be anything. It could be a class 4, it could be the class 6 ceramic I can craft, it could be a class 5 one, it could be one that doesn't fit in the armor I want, but there's a chance I get the good one. And the good one I can't really get anywhere else. Like, that's cool. And it gives you a thing to actually go and do. And then more people want to go and do it. Then it becomes a hotspot. Then it's a PvP thing as well. Like, it's just makes it so much better in the late wipe. And it shouldn't just be like so. I feel like having it in Kib is great, but I feel like maybe there should be like one or two other spots, and maybe there should be some other spots for this kind of thing in general. Maybe there's like an attachment spot on, I don't know, like on Lighthouse in the water treatment facility. Like, so don't hate me, everybody, but like put it on reserve somewhere, put it underground in reserve in like a special room, or you have to go and pull a lever. Like the thing I like about Kibber is you have to do a lot. You can't just casually hit Kibber on your way through.
You have to really strategize around it.
You have to strategize around it. You have to be there. You have to wait for power. You have to gamble if someone's going to do power or not. You could do it as a team, like someone goes to power, someone goes to Kibber, but it's quite involved. And then you have to bring the key card with you if you don't want to go out of the 2 exits, right? Like the whole way the interchange is set up makes that actually quite good. I wouldn't want it just to be like, oh, it's been building 3 of the road camps. You just like run in, jump through the window, check for the plates, and then leave out the car, right? Without having to interact with the map. Like you'd want it to be in a special room. The power, that's why Kibber works so well. The power switch is on the other side of the map, and you press it, blah blah blah. You could kind of put it anywhere, so long as there's a few steps to getting through. And you've got to make it a bit of a pain to do. Like you have to purposefully go and do it. I don't want it to just be like farmed as part of a run. Like it's a thing you have to go and like do, which is why it works so well in Kibber. On the bosses is great. That's a great idea. You even just have them with them, like in their backpack or something. You don't even need to necessarily put it on them. Like they could just have them spawn in their bag.
You could even put like a barter, and only the bosses have this barter item that you can barter for the plates or something.
Yeah, even that's cool. That's a cool idea. Like something that's not it's not on the Flea. You can you have to get it from the bosses, and you can barter it for all sorts of different things. You could choose an LPVO. You could choose a Bastion head plate thing. Like again, the Bastion plate being in the traders is like why? Like why is it there? Like why is it there? Just like all the good stuff. Like I don't know why these meta things are still on the traders. It's just like I don't know. It just feels a bit unnecessary. You don't need to be like to get to getting to 99% of the way to meta gear, which is the way it is right now, in the stash just because of unlocks. It's just not the way, I don't think. People aren't incentivized to go and get the good stuff.
And I feel like just to reiterate, I think the difference between class 4 and 5 can be significant, right? And like so much so that it's like any class 5, no matter what material type, is going to be better than the class 4, right?
Yeah,
like just objectively speaking. But the choice between like a ceramic class 5 and like a polymer high ultra lightweight whatever UHCW whatever that one is like much more like can have also a fair amount of difference. Specifically, it could give the lower tier players, like in terms of progression, more of a fighting chance than trying to pin through something that's got like an amazing destructibility stat.
Yeah. I was running some of the numbers this morning.
Oh yeah.
And if you are using M855A1, the best plates that are class 6, if you hit all the shots in the chest, it takes 7 shots to kill.
Wow.
If you're shooting at the worst class 6 plate, it is 5. Quite a big difference within the armor class, and it's because of it's a durability whittling thing. If you're using M6-2 and hybrid, it's like 1 shot difference within the armor class, which again is quite big, right? 5 shots versus 4 shots, like it matters. If you'd want to go and get that, like it matters enough for you to want to get it, but it's good enough that it feels like a class 6 still, but you can't repair it. It's like you have to throw it away every time. Like it's kind of annoying. So like the good ones are really good, and it was it's the better repairability. They're usually lighter, like they've got better protection. Like you've actually got something to work towards. But then it's also fair if you just can't be bothered and you just want to get the easy one, the cheap one. Yeah, well, you're going to suffer slightly for it in survivability. But that's a choice that you have to make, right? It's like maybe you don't want to go to Interchange and go to Kibber and get the stuff. That's fine. That's up to you. It's your choice.
Yeah.
So
I feel like there's a bit more balance because then it's like because I think you still want to like reward players and incentivize them to play your game and progress, right? Like I think that's like a common theme of like arguments I see is like don't ban the good stuff because then what's the point level up traders? And it's like okay, I see what you're saying, but maybe let's just get rid of like the S tier of stuff. You know, it's like you could have like A tier stuff that's like still gonna serve you like very well. You know, it's not like I'm ever gonna pick. I would it would just be so hard to find a situation or like even think of one where it's like I want to take a class 4 aramid armor over this class 5 ceramic. It's like I can't, like, maybe if I'm like fighting there's like an event, it's like scavs are swarming the map, maybe. It's like there's like just scavs everywhere, maybe, but like otherwise I'm just gonna want to take the class 5 ceramic because like in the event someone with a gets the drop on me with a decent round, I want to be able to stop it. I don't want to take I don't want to take the chances of it going through.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's also a kind of a function of the fact that it's an extraction shooter because you lose your gear every time you die.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
the fact that like, oh, if you got your gear back, say if it was a normal RPG and you got your gear back every time, that would lend more weight to having the lower grade one that can be repaired every single time. It's like much more economic. But because you lose your gear all the time in Tarkov, it's like it takes away some of that choice.
Yeah.
In some ways, just because the math is different. So it's I don't know. That's interesting. I feel like we're kind of like we're getting there though. I don't think it's necessarily too bad, but I just think that some tweaks could make the game a little bit more interesting. Like it's not like the game's unplayable. I just think that there could be some elements improved. It's feeling quite good, and the fights recently have been pretty fun, and but I've been enjoying it, and it's cool. The fight system is better, but yeah, I do worry a little bit about like the new people. There was a conversation in chat a little bit before about basically you shouldn't balance the game around people who are coming in like new into a late wipe, and it's like that's fair. That's definitely fair. That's fine. But there should be tools at least. Like I don't really have a good solution for it, but it's almost something like you added, like, this is obviously not a good thing to do, but just this is the first thing I can think of because I can't think of anything better. Something like you add a new ammo for 762 by 54R, but it only goes in the break action rifle. Like something like that. It's like we're talking like you move like as a play with all the trade levels, you can get kind of whatever ammo you want in any quality of gun, right? You're running an M62 or hybrid and a full auto gun with relatively low recoil, with an LPVO, with all the stuff. Like you got all the things. If you're lower down the tiers, it's like, okay, you can't have all these things. You have to like pick the thing that you want. Whereas like right now, it's just like, you want to be able to kill good players, like good luck.
Right.
You're just going to have to hit a headshot. It's like a skill check rather than anything else. You can't gear up for it really. Whereas, if there's like a method of saying, well, okay, you want to kill the geared guys? Sure, you could bring this gun. But it's like, there's some huge downside, right? Like some mechanic like that, like not that mechanic, but like some mechanic like that like actually integrates into the game in some way is like kind of how I'm thinking about it. Like I don't know how you balance that really, but like
it's like you could craft junk. They're like called junk rounds. It's like M61, but there's a chance it'll like blow up in your face and kill you instead.
Yeah, like the makeshift bullet, like
AP ammo at home or something. It's just like super jank.
SNB at home. It's like makeshift SNB. It's like overpressure, so sometimes it just blows the whole gun up. You can only put it in like whatever. Yeah, just say like sounds like you described in the AVT, kind of. You would like the SVT and the AVT was like crazy when it came out, but then
it was pretty crazy.
Like, nobody really uses that now. It kind of is. That kind of is the gun I'm thinking of, really. But
yeah, I mean,
I think they pushed the trade levels. I haven't seen them for ages now. What happened to them? Was it just the new?
Well, the ammo got kind of
right.
Yeah, I mean,
the SVT is Prapor 3, so there you go. Right, that's why.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Was it always?
And then it got bumped up loads. I think it was Prapor 2 when it first came in.
Yeah, that wipe was great. It was literally the SVT wipe. Everyone had one.
Oh, and then the is Prapor 3 as well, but you have to do the streets task.
Yeah.
Like the CPSU part 2.
But you're right. Yeah, definitely haven't seen a lot, if any, SVT. Like, I think once I died to someone with AVT on customs this past wipe that I remember.
Yeah, like you can make LPS at Workbench 2. Or buy it off the Flea. You can buy PS off the Flea as well. maybe that's the thing. I don't know. Like I think, yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, you can compete. I think that's fine, kind of fine. Like you can compete with like the mid tier stuff, but you have to pay the price on the Flea.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the deal. Because like stuff from the Flea that you can get these days is like MP7 with FMJ, MCX with CBJ, PS for the SVD. It's probably like the best combo there. So there
Yeah.
are options. Still kind of hard against someone with class 6, but again, class 6 should be good.
Oh
So
yeah.
if you then pull the availability of class 6 back, then maybe the ammo is kind of
I
okay.
I
I
think
don't
that's
know.
the thing is that if Billy has to pay a cost, which the cost is like not just exclusively rubles. We're talking like he has to use a SVD that's like a huge
Mm,
amount of recoils, and he also can't mod it because if he wants to mod it, he has to buy off the flea market the parts, and he doesn't have all the traders unlocked, so he can't get the recoil down or the ergo up. He's got to use like this really weird, obscure kind of gun. It's like super not ideal, but he just wants to be able to do X, Y, and Z or whatever. He wants to kill Giga Chad to farm him for gear, whatever. It doesn't matter. Then I feel like also Giga Chad should have to like pay some type of cost. Like I don't think the cost of you know grinding to that point, like it's just like a given. You know what I mean? Like it's like you just have to accept that. Like I don't think that's enough. You should have to do something. If
yeah.
you should
Yeah, I
pay
agree.
something. It's like either you got to pay upfront in money or like you gotta it's just having all the options with like little downsides for me personally. It's fun at first. It is. I will give you that. It is fun when you first get into Tarkov and you feel like you finally hit. You've peaked. You became the Giga Chad. You were the the rat on customs, but now I'm the Giga Chad. It is fun, but for me that gets old very like it got old quickly, and it was
Yeah.
actually I found it more fun to sort of have limited choices and hard choices to make. You know, do I use
Yep.
the MP5 that's got low recoil? I can get headshots, but I just shot this guy 5 times in the back of his head, and his helmet absorbed it all, and I'm really mad. It's like, but that's the price I paid for using this. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
pros and
Yeah,
cons.
I think maybe it's okay. Maybe it's all right. I think like yeah, we just needed to brainstorm a little bit like what the options are, and I think just pulling the armor back a little bit maybe kind of makes it fine. Um, I don't know. Maybe make it all right. We'll have to see how this next wipe goes because like so much has
Yeah,
changed,
yeah.
especially with armor and whatnot. Like I don't know how it's going to feel. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to like rethink. I haven't even started thinking yet about like what ammo might be good. Like we don't know what's changed, so all the ammo might be in different places. So the ammo right
Absolutely.
now is like in its place because of the armor system that was at the beginning, but they haven't changed anything to do with ammo, and they've changed the armor system completely in terms of how much it protects you. So we're gonna have to see. But if it stays the same, then I'm wondering what will be good early. I'm gonna have to think about it. I can't think about it on the fly. I'm gonna have to think
Mm-hmm.
about it.
Yeah, interesting little thought experiment. I just quickly mention Elden Ring because my friend group, the DLC came out. I think it was like last Thursday or Friday. My friend group's like, we should really play because the last time I played it, was like when it came out back in 2020, and I played it pretty much exclusively by myself. I mean, it's not
Mm,
really a cooperative game, but there is like multiplayer elements to it, and it was like it was a really good game. I think it won like game of the year. I mean, it's just like it's like the culmination of all their years of experience making this style of game, the
yeah.
Souls style. It's almost like everything's the Souls like now. Oh my god, you can dodge and roll. It's a Souls like. They copied Dark Souls, but no, it's coming back to it. It's like man, it is kind of amazing how much content, like there's so much to do in that game. It's like absurd. I mean, it's like pretty crazy. And then there's like this DLC that's added on that like we all decided we would start making new characters, so we're like
Hmm.
effectively playing the game over. And the game, like the base game's got to be like 200 hours if you want to like do and
God.
see everything. Like it may be more. It's like there's just so much to do. And like yeah, not everything in it is like S tier production quality. There's a lot of like similar assets in places. There's like, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's a really big game, but at the end of the day, it's just like I'm kind of amazed at like how much is packed into that game. It's pretty unreal.
I'm still yet to play it, and
I know.
it's everybody's playing it, right? Because of the new DLC.
Yeah.
I have a friend who I don't know if all actually I think only one of my friends actually has played it. Like we're not a big Dark Souls group,
Mm-hmm.
and I have one friend in particular who has played it and said, it's amazing. One of my other friends probably has played it, but I just don't think we've spoken about it. But it's one of those things because I never actually played. Like I've seen people play Dark Souls a bunch. Like I had a friend at university who was like playing it on PlayStation or something, and so like watched him do a bunch of it, but like I never actually did it. Like I never played it myself. So to get into the genre, I probably would enjoy it. Like lots of people were telling me in chat the other day, just saying like, "Oh, you should play it. Like I'm sure you'd really like it." And I'm like, "Yeah." People say it's just like super hard, and that's kind of the thing. It's like one of those ones where it's not really conceivable that you could know what to do until you go. It's like a puzzle game. So you go and do the puzzle, and then you lose, and then you go, okay, I see how this works, and then you try it again, and then you slowly refine your skills until you win. And I don't know. It was like there was some divisive comments in chat about like whether it was good or not, and some people like didn't really enjoy it that much because they were like, just kind of feels like the same thing. It's just like a bunch of interconnected like boss fight puzzles connected throughout like a bigger world. Like I don't know, it's hard. Like the thing is overwhelmingly positive for most people. I've only seen a couple of people being like, yeah, it wasn't really like my kind of game,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure because I've not actually
Mm-hmm.
played them. Like whether it would just be really frustrating and like for me, like people have been going on for years about how single player games are like too short, and 20 hours for 45 pounds or $60 or $70 or whatever is
Mm-hmm.
like crazy. But like I'm almost the other way around a little bit now, where I'm just like I hear the like 200-hour like sticker label, and I'm like, damn, that's gonna take me a long time. Like I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
like the opportunity cost of playing that is rough compared
Yeah.
to it's kind of intimidating, and then especially when there's a DLC as well, and I'm like, man, I haven't just played the base game yet. Like,
Yep.
goddamn. So I actually personally find that a bit off-putting a little.
No, 100%. I mean, my first, like, I didn't actually finish the game because my gamer brain wanted to do and see everything. And it became such like a chore and a task because actually, like, honestly just enjoyed more so kind of the classic style where it's like a more linear progression. You go through the dungeons and you fight the boss. Whereas, like, the open world, you basically can choose your own adventure in a sense. There's like a bunch of side things to do, and like every side thing isn't going to always be great for you. If you got a particular build you're going for, it's like you do this thing, it's like, oh, this is for like a spell build. I'm not really doing a spell build, so that's whatever. But I leveled up and did some stuff or whatever. That's cool. Let me go do that again. And yeah, I mean, it's okay, but I did basically burn myself out because I was doing so much side stuff. It's like, and there's just a lot to do. So like this time around, I'm not really all that much too into like doing everything because it's just a
Yeah.
lot. And I don't want to burn myself out. But it's funny you talk about the difficulty because there was quite a few number of people complaining about how difficult the DLC was. And they're like, they're like max character level, and they're like, I shouldn't be getting, two shot by the boss. And the interesting thing about Elden Ring, and this is like kind of true for the other games, but mostly Elden Ring is like the game, and really just like Dark Souls as a whole. It's like accessibility is kind of an issue for the game, which is kind of similar for Tarkov, but specifically like the game is like an action RPG with like a fairly sizable emphasis on action. So like if you, for example, I've heard someone before speak on how they have like some like motor disability functions. So like
Okay.
reflex intensive games are like a real challenge for them because like it just requires so much motor control, like fine motor control. And like Dark Souls is like you have there's like a dodge mechanic, so you got like timing is like essential. It's like it is very. There isn't really any like options to make. This is like there's different games. I think Liza P had it came out not too long ago, but it was like a Korean studio that made a basically a Souls like that was well
Yeah.
received. And they had like some fairly good disability options. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is, or getting to the point is the some of the ways they deal with the difficulty in that is that you can explore the open world and you sort of like progress your RPG character build, level up, you get stronger, you find new upgrades. And the same is true for the DLC, which I haven't played, I don't really know about. Sorry, minor spoilers, but yeah, people were like, they walked in expecting, I got my maxed out character, I'm gonna be able to one shot everything. And it's like, no, they're actually feeding you the experience you got at the start of the game. Because literally at the start of the game, Giga, when you start, you go up, you see this giant knight on the horse, if he's like decked out in gold, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna fight him, and he's like kills you, like one or two hits, it's just like, and he's like really tanky, and like you're supposed to not fight him. You're supposed to, it's like the way to design it is like, here's an obstacle. If you want, you can suffer and fight this guy. You can just keep trying over and over. Or you could do the way we intended, which is for you to like explore the map, get upgrades, level up, visit all the side content, and come back when you're more prepared. And it's like a very satisfying feeling to like have an experience, get dunked on, and then come back later and be like, I'm here to defeat you. You've dunked on me before. Now I should dunk on you, and you kill. It's like,
yeah, it's like a revenge thing. It's like
yes.
I don't know why that suddenly made me think of like Pokemon in some ways. It's like you get dunked on by somebody, but then you go and train and you become the champion or whatever.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
That's probably the game where that type of thing resonated with me the most. With your rival and all of this stuff, and you become
That's a
the
good
champion.
point.
It's like the same kind of thing.
I never thought about it. I never made
It's
that connection.
compelling though.
Yeah. So yeah, they effectively did the same thing in DLC. There's like this new exclusive item in the zone that gives you stat bonuses, and you gotta like find them and collect them. And once you do that, it makes the game, it like lowers the difficulty essentially. Like you gain power, so it becomes easier. But yeah, it's a cool game. We might try to set up, assuming it gets updated, seamless co-op where we could. Essentially, it's a mod, and we wouldn't have online play, but online play is already kind of like scuffed. Like, I won't go into detail, but FromSoft's netcode, they're like such an interesting company because it's like it feels like they're stuck in like 2016 or like 2018. I don't know, but like in terms of some of the way they do things, but then it's like they're also like kind of revolutionary because like they don't like they're like really good at what they do, like the very core of the game, but outside of that, it's just like they kind of suck. Like the netcode's awful. It's like it's not awful as Dark Souls 1 was, but it's still amazing how bad it is today. And then it's like, if you're playing on mouse and keyboard like me, the accessibility options for that is like there's just some controls you can't change, and it's like it sucks. But yeah, anyways, it's just very interesting to see company like how this like studio does things, like their design philosophy and like what they prioritize and emphasize.
And yeah, it's interesting. I'm sure I'll play it at some point. It's so hard, right? There's like so many. It's like Baldur's Gate as well. It's the same kind
That's
of
on my
thing.
list.
It's like, oh, you got to play this game. It's game of the year, but it's gonna suck the soul out of all of your free time for the next 4 months or whatever. I'm just like, that's great and all, but like, I'm not sure if I want to get super addicted to something. Like the last one that I played of this, not even of this type really, but the last like RPG that has a lot of scope that I played was probably Final Fantasy 15, which I played on PC. And that, I don't know, like if you look it up, I'm just gonna have a quick look at Final Fantasy 15. Like hours sort of gameplay. So it says it's about 28 hours in length. If you're a gamer that strives to see all aspects of the game, you like to spend around 95 hours to complete 100% or whatever. And I went to go and check mine, and I played 36. So I was kind of, did a little bit of some extra stuff, but mainly just focused on the main thing, because I was like, if I get distracted on this, I ain't gonna finish this game. Like, I don't have time to be playing this for 3 times the length of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Not to mention that game was 150 gig, and I didn't have the space when it came out to actually. This is like 2019, and I was like, "Damn, son, that's like a third of my terabyte hard drive. Like, what are you playing at?" Apparently, it's only 86 gig now, so maybe they've like slimmed it down a little bit.
Huh.
Either which way, that was the last one I did, and it's like, yeah, if you can keep it under 50 hours or whatever, then that's kind of fine. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll just try and plow through. Like, let's see, if you just played like the regular Elden Ring arrows, like what's this one? It says if you just focus on the main objectives, it's about 60 hours in length.
That's great. That's still a lot, though.
That's a lot. Strive to see all aspects is around 133 hours, and that's just for the base game. It's a lot, but it's not that much necessarily, but it is quite a lot. Like, if you played 2 hours a day, that's like 30. You'd have to play every day for a month, like 2 hours. I don't know. Like, it's a
yeah. I mean,
a lot.
Definitely like goal oriented. So if your goal was like, if you were super invested in like completing the game, that may help. But if you just want to get the general experience, like, it's not like fighting the first, like, it's essentially I don't want to like reduce it down too much, but for me, like, the boss fighting is like the best aspect of the game. Just because like the challenge, like, you have to, it really asks a lot from you, because you have to like recognize patterns and then like input correctly to dodge. Because dodging is like kind of a huge aspect. I mean, you could do like a sword and shield build, but then you have to like block, and when you successfully block, it takes away your stamina, so then you want to like manage your stamina, otherwise you lose all your stamina when you're blocking. And then your shield, you do like this long stun animation, like, so there's definitely different ways, but point being is, at the end of the day, just experience of the game, I think it's like value in of its own, because it is a very like it's crazy, because like the formula basically hasn't changed. They just effectively added open world, and like they've added some new like minor details and like side stuff, but like the core essence of the game has not changed at all. And they were like, yeah, we're kind of done with the Dark Souls series, we're gonna make a new game. Literally inserts every Dark Souls mechanic ever known to exist. It's like, it's so funny.
Didn't the main guy come out and be like, this one's pretty good, but like I could do better with Elden Ring?
Probably.
Like, I saw a headline or something.
It wouldn't surprise me.
What did he
Miyazaki
say?
is, I think,
about them, but I'm not sure if I can find it right now. But I think he basically was just like, yeah, we did a pretty good job, but like we could probably do better. Like, it's not best I can do, kind of thing. And everyone was just like, makes game of the year and then says that, like, what? I definitely saw that floating around Twitter at one point.
Yeah, I could believe it. He's also the person who made or was like directed Death Stranding. I don't know if you've
really?
seen or
I've
heard
not
that
played
game.
that, but I've heard a lot about it in general.
Yes,
it keeps coming up for whatever reason.
It's someone just mentioned it as well in chat, and I haven't played it. I just know it's a very weird, obscure travel sim. He was cooking whatever it is.
Walking
he was
sim,
cooking.
The most compelling walking sim ever made.
That's something like this. Yeah.
Oh, dear me. It's good, having choice is good.
Yeah.
Good to have lots of stuff to do.
Yep. All right. Anything else, Gigo?
Well, I think that's it. Gonna keep chipping away. Probably do, a bit more arena stuff. Try and get back into the swing of that. I've actually, as I said, I've enjoyed it, playing what I've done so far. We'll carry on doing a little bit of Lightkeeper, because I'm about to finish assessment. I've got 2 more kills left. I've had a really nice time on Lighthouse so far, actually. Just like staying away from the road camp. I feel like I've like found my groove with Lighthouse now. Just stay away from the road camp. Having 16 gig of VRAM actually does help, I will say. Like, the map runs so much better. It's like the one biggest change of having a new GPU.
Really?
Lighthouse is just like night and day difference.
Do you still
Play the
run
map
on
on
high
medium.
textures or you medium?
I play
Okay.
medium, yeah. I never put it on high. Like, I could, I guess. I think streets would probably overflow even the
Yeah,
16 gig. So
probably.
I just stick it on medium because it looks fine to me. No big deal. And but yeah, it's been all right. I've been like, I had like a 4-player kill raid the other day, which doesn't happen to me very often. I killed an actual 3-man as well, which was cool. And they weren't like newbies, so it did actually like count. And then one other player, but it was a fun fight. It was with the RD704 of all guns,
Hmm.
the ones that people say, oh, it's terrible. But I had a 50-round drum, which when you're fighting against 3 people, makes a big difference. One of them had a bolty, so whatever. But yeah, the other two, it's just like it's so much easier fighting with a big mag. So yeah, no, it's been good. It's been good. So I've got 2 more kills for that, and then I'm into like all the other stuff. Find the flash drive in the water treatment and all of that random crap.
I remember.
I can't even remember what comes after assessment, to be honest. But there's like, yeah, like I've got the SJ9s, so that's like going to be easy. So
Oh,
like, I
okay.
think all of the other big blockers, I think are already done. But I'd like to get like Keeper done before they start doing like end of wipe quests, like end of wipe events and things, because there's always some Lightkeeper element in. It's like the last one. I couldn't turn the phone into Lightkeeper because I didn't have him. So I couldn't get like the Lightkeeper achievement, which is probably the more prestigious one, I guess. Not that I care about the achievements that much, but
Mm-hmm.
I'd have liked to have done it if I gave you like 100k more XP as well.
Hmm.
So it's nice to have the option, just in case something does appear for him. I like to have these things unlocked just
Yes.
to have them
Yep.
unlocked. Same thing with the money. It's like have the powder dry, you're waiting for the cool thing to happen, and then you can do the thing if you need to. So yeah, I think that's it really. Just like wait for more updates, more Nikki leaks. I know that TwitchCon is happening
Mm-hmm.
today and this weekend. I was like toying with going. It's not that far. It's in Rotterdam. Not that far, but in the end, I kind of left it too late, and like I don't know. It was complicated. Like it's complicated going away for the weekend with with the kiddos and whatever, and it was going to be like really expensive, and um, unless I've got like something specific to do, it's kind of like I feel sort of guilty like spending so much going away for like a social event, basically, which is kind of what it would be. Um, so I decided like I get to stay at home for that. It's fine. Um, but yeah, just gonna keep on grooving on, doing the thing, playing the Tarkov, seeing how it goes. I keep an eye out for like Grey Zone and the other games, but like I'm not seeing any content yet. Arena
Yeah.
Breakout's just closing their beta now. So there's not really much else. Like I was expecting to cover Grey Zone more than I
Mm-hmm.
have, but there's nothing to talk about. So
Yeah.
makes it a bit, like I'm sure there will be, but we just got
Right.
to wait.
It,
We got
it
to
needs a
wait.
little bit more in the oven to cook.
Yeah, we just got to like wait, leave them to it,
Yeah.
let them get through the technical stuff, which is what they're doing first, and then they'll do the actual content patch. And when that comes through, I think it'll be fun. But we just it needs like a lot more work in terms of content for us. Entertaining for me. I can't just grind Tarkov type quests in that game. So until then, it's just Tarkov. But at least we've been having interesting things. So got stuff to talk about. It's actually not been as dry as I thought with armor and everything else. So it's like it's definitely like fine. It's actually like probably one of the better end of wipes I've had personally for like the channel and stuff
Really.
because there's actually
Oh, you
things
know
to
what?
talk about.
Yeah, I noticed like your video with the Giga Chad and the ammo, how to kill this guy. I was like,
Mm.
oh, it's pretty good views at the time I looked at it. Which is like always nice to see,
Yeah, yeah, they're
Especially
doing
once it
okay.
gets in this phase of the wipe.
I was
Content
worried by an early
creation.
August wipe. I was just like, oh god, like we've got a whole like 2 months to go, whatever. Like, god, like because I think the last time it was August, we didn't know it was going to be so late, and then it just dragged on, and I was like, it was really dry. It started to get quite difficult to
Hmm.
just be thinking up interesting stuff. That's why I ended up veering into just doing entertainment stuff because I was
Yeah,
like, hey,
I
let's just give
remember.
it a go. There's
Yeah.
nothing else to talk about that I really want to talk about, so let's just do something fun and that I've not done before. And that's why I did like the hardcore series and that kind of thing for the first time, which was good and was nice to do. But there's so much to do in the game now. It's like hard to do it all. Actually, it's like that's a nice position to be in. Honestly, there's like more
Yeah.
content now than there ever
Yeah.
has been. So if you're just chipping away at it like I am and not rushing through it all in the first like 1 month, 2 months, then it's there's plenty to get on with. So yes, it's good. It's good.
All right. With that, we will wrap it up. Thanks again for everyone tuning in, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next week.